How you doing, Gandalf? I'm on early so that you UK people can hang out for a little while. Yeah, we'll be on for a little bit. The wife and kids are in Ohio right now. Probably on their way home, but they're about 2.5 hours away. So I thought this was the best time for me to do an early to get the UK people in here. Let me go and see if I can get some more people in. Okay, I can't share it. Hello, Sophie and Mom. How you doing, Zena? I need to share this over at the YouTube Tarantula community. I don't know if I can do that. I could take a screenshot and send it over there, let everybody know that I'm live. Hi, Christian. I figure this will be kind of European and hey, Ryan's in here. Ryan's from PA, right? Yeah, be European and UK heavy. Hi, Shani. Early today, early. Roughly, I have about 2.5 hours, maybe 3, depending on when they leave and where they go to eat. It's 3:08 here right now in the afternoon. So you're at 9 o'clock. So that's probably a good time, right? 9 o'clock, you guys can hang out for a little while, so it's not like midnight to 2 in the morning like it was last time for you guys. And I'm getting yelled at because I'm doing too many lives and not enough videos, so I got to do a couple videos soon. And even I think more people watch this stuff here than they do the videos anyway. Yeah, share it in the YouTube group because I know like Adam and Vic and a couple other people from, I don't know, Vic, it's probably late for Vic, but some of the other, like Martin, some other people wanted to come in, but they always said it was too late before. So if you go to that, yeah, the YouTube group, see if we can't get some of those people in from there. So we could talk about pretty much anything you want today. We got to be nice though because Sophie's in here. Yeah, somebody else said that too, Gandalf. They like listening the next day just while they're doing chores or going to the store or whatever it is. They just pop it on and listen. And then when they, I think somebody said they were listening to me when they were grocery shopping the other day. I was like, that's kind of cool. That's why I like doing the podcast too, because it gives everybody another opportunity to listen to stuff. Well, you can't respond at all, but at least you get to listen. Yeah, that's fine. The main reason for a bad upright mole, I honestly don't know. We don't know why they molt upright. When if Tracy comes in here, the spider I gave to her always molts on his side. So let's see when that one molts the next time if it does it again. But I have yet to have one that I know molted upright, so I'm not really quite sure. Now, podcast is basically me just like listening. So it's like a radio show, or not me listening, but me talking about a topic or whatever, and then you could just pop it on and listen. You could go to like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or there's a whole bunch of them. Castbox, there's one for Google. Or yeah, I think Google. I can't remember. There's like 9 places that my podcasts are aired on. I do them roughly about once a week. I just pick a topic and I just talk about it, and then you could just listen. You can't like interact like you do here, but you pay me to eat one what? Only New Worlds kick hairs because they're the ones that have them. Old Worlds don't have the urticating hair. Their main defense is their posture running, and then of course their venom. Where New World tarantulas I think are a little bit more apt to be predator or predated or food for little tiny mammals and rodents, so that their hairs are really agitating to the eyes and the nose. So only New Worlds have those, but there are a couple New Worlds that don't, like Salmopaeus do not have urticating hair. So if you could understand that, Sophie. Did I get my peep? Yes, I did. The the male I did not, and the second female I did not. They were both juveniles when I got them, but my female that's on an egg sac right now, I did. She was around 1 inch when I got her, so she's roughly 5 years, maybe not quite 5 years, but a little, real close to 5 years here before she was actually mature enough to breed. So yeah, the polkers are cool. They don't take a ton of time to grow, but they do take a little bit. So you're looking at probably 5 years before you see a mature female, probably 3 years for a male. Yeah, I don't, Christian, I don't know why they do it. I really don't. It's just something that I don't think we're ever going to be able to figure out why they molt upright sometimes. It's just kind of odd because it's harder for them to push themselves out up than it is to pull themselves out down. So, they have gravity with them that way, and they can push their molt out, but when they're trying to push themselves up off of gravity, it's a little bit more difficult. So I'm not saying that they can't do it, and I'm not saying that most of them die that way, but the odds of them dying in a molt are probably increased from them molting upright. Hey, Aaron, how are you? Do I know about an Indian spider? Which one? There's a bunch of them. Hey Jay, how are you? And who am I looking at? Oh, Dave, me, and Xandor. Or Xander or Xandor. Anyway, hi. Yeah, that could be why, Gandalf. Yeah, that I enjoy the podcast. Actually, Tom Moran he's been doing podcasts for a little bit longer. He's the one that kind of said I should do it. So I just kind of started and went with it. What is a true spider? True spider, they're, what makes them basically different than tarantulas is their fangs go this way, and tarantula fangs go this way. So that's one of the major things. Plus they have hair. Tarantulas have hair, and true spiders generally don't really have hair, or setae. I guess you shouldn't say hair because they're not. It's not hair. It's like little bristles. But yeah, so think of them there. Spiders' jaws are really weak because they go in this way. And that's why a lot of them can't actually bite humans because they don't have the jaw strength. Where tarantulas come down like this, it's much more powerful for them. Now, I'm afraid what I would look like on the big screen. So far, so good, Aaron. Oh, I'm on the big screen. I don't know if that's a good idea. Yeah, I haven't been able to listen to Tom's podcast for a while just because I've been so busy. And I don't like listening to them when I can't finish them. So even at work when I have some downtime, I never know when they're going to call me to come up and fix something. So I could have 2 hours downtime. I could have 10 minutes downtime. So I try not to do them there. And when I get home, I don't have a lot of time to do much of anything with all this going on here and then trying to do this stuff. And video, take pictures. I took a ton of pictures yesterday. They're all in the tarantula community. I didn't put them on Instagram yet, but they'll go on Instagram later on. So yeah, it's just kind of keeping up. I just don't have a chance to get to them, but I enjoy. I mean, if I was driving someplace by myself, I would hook the phone up with a speaker and just listen to some of some of Tom's stuff. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool, Jay. Tell him. I'm assuming your son is Xandor, right? So a special hi to you, Xandor. Is it Xandor or Xander? You gotta tell me, Xandor or Xander. My son's name is Alexander, so one of my sons anyway. You'd have to you'd have to download one of the apps like Spotify, Gandalf. If you downloaded Spotify or whatever, I can't remember all of them, depending on what phone you have. Just go to your app store and find one that's a podcast one. Spotify is probably the most popular, and you just look for Eerie Arachnid Says, and then it'll bring all my podcasts up, and you can just listen to them. That's a good question, Ryan. I'm assuming that they've always had them, and Old Worlds never did. That would be my guess. And again, arguably, people say it's simulpass belong in as Old World tarantulas. That when the whole theory of all the continents being together, that when they separated, simulpass were over here, and they probably should have been over there. But again, that's just theory and myth. You really have no way to prove it. But yeah, I don't think Tapenikinius have urticating here either, which would be Pseudoclimaris also. And then Avicularinae, the subfamily, any of the spiders belong to the Avicularinae subfamily, have urticating hairs that they don't brush off. They have to push them up against you. So, which seems kind of weird because if they're getting attacked by something, you think they want to be able to shoot the hairs first. But I guess if they're going to get bit, those hairs go right in the roof of something's mouth, and they're like fiberglass, so they have barbs, and once they get in there, they're hard to get out. So it could be, but it's not just South American teas because North American teas also have urticating hair. Ephiopus don't generally use them, but they're on their pedipalps and their front legs, I believe, so they use them in a different manner because they are more front. Think about spiders that are burrowers, and Ephiopus are always up front like this, so their legs are up there, so they would want that as their first line of defense going forward. Then they take off. So instead of turning around and brushing those hairs off, because they're a skinny little spider, that's a big thing too. Their abdomens aren't generally all that big like some of your bigger new worlds are, like Lasiodora and the Faunopelma, where they have a whole bunch of urticating hairs back there. Ephiopus have them in the front just to protect their dens is basically why. Okay, last question for Sophie. Why can't tarantulas be in the same enclosures, but some can be communal? Well, they're very solo animals for the most part. They just want to eat and be left alone. So if there's something that is threatening that, they want to take it out. But some tarantulas, like Monocentropus balfouri, they're where they come from. The island is not all that big, so they're kind of compact and they're on top of each other all the time. So over time, that adaptation, they evolved that way so that they can tolerate each other. Now, there's other tarantulas that do well communally, and others that you'll see in the wild, like Heterothele gabonensis and Heterothele villicella in Africa. Those are two very, very communal species. I've done a couple communals with those, but only two at a time, so it's not. I didn't really have a good base on how they go, but only a handful of spiders you can actually keep together. The rest of them are going to end up just eating each other. Vic. Man, you guys go to expos all the time. I mean, we just don't have them around here as much. Although I'm kind of glad that we don't, because I would probably have 2 times as many as I already do. Now, the best way for you to tell if your spider is a juvenile or sub-adult, I go by this basis, and I'll do a video on this. I think I might have already done this, but if you think of tarantula's lifespan as a four-tier system, so the first quarter of their lives, the first 25% of their size would be a sling. The next 25% of their size would be a juvenile. The next 25% would be a sub-adult or immature adult, and the last 25%, of course, would be a mature adult. And that depends on the size of the tarantula overall and the sex of the tarantula as well. So, a juvenile Lasiodora parabona male and female are going to be basically the same size. Males blow up towards the end when they get to that sub-adult size, or that what I like to call is immature size. So that's the best way to do it is figure out the size of what the tarantula should be, and then do it as percentages: 25, 50, 75, and 100. That's the best way to do it. As far as explanation and getting a good idea of where it could be, it's not a foolproof method, but I like that method the most. Apolopus have? I didn't know they had spikes on their legs. I know Megaphoboma do, especially the robustum. Hello, Samantha. How are you? Oh, I'm glad you guys love my teas. I love them too. How you doing, Freddy's Den? Trying to keep up. I guarantee you I'm going to get behind in the comments, so you'll have to bear with me. Good night, Sophie. I hope to see you again soon. Yes, it's different over there for you, Christian, the way you guys do your stages of life, your larvae stage, because that's what your L is standing for, right? And your N is standing for nymphs. And we over here, we use what we call instar. So, once a tarantula molts that first time, it's an instar. And, and there's basically so many of them in a tarantula's life, especially a male. If a male only has a limited amount of molts, let's say 8, once it hits that 8th molt, it's going to be mature, and it could be a lot quicker than some people's because of how much they feed them and how warm they are. So I never really pay attention to the nymph stage or the L stage or the instar stage. I just mark down when they molt, and that's just, to me, that's just stuff I don't need to really worry about. I'm sure if I'm selling them, then I would keep track. Like when my pulkers hopefully emerge from their egg sac, I will keep track of them as they molt, so people know exactly where they're at when they're sold. H. villicella do really well in communals. If I had to tell you communals from best to worst as far as the spiders that are generally said to be communals, villicella would be second on the list. It'd be Balfouri, villicella, and then a mix between your H. gigas and your N. ense and the H. gabonensis, the Heterothele gabonensis. That's another one that will do pretty well communally. But I guess that all depends on how you keep them, the room that you have. The villicella like to be kind of close, but not real close, like Balfouri. They do need to have a little bit of room. The 2 that I had were in the softball enclosure, and the female was only like 2 inches, and the male was like an inch and maybe an inch and a half at best when they passed away. So they don't need a ton of room, but they do like to utilize the same burrows, and they do like to share food. Believe it or not, I've had a lot of the villicellas were especially that way. They enjoyed. I had pictures of them before where they eating the same cricket from one end to the other. So I like the villicellas. Yeah, there's chance. There's definitely chance of cannibalism. I think villicella is a little bit better than ensays. That's just my opinion, but Yeah, there's risk of cannibalism of any. I mean, I had Balfours, I had five and ended up with three. So people say, that they're pretty much foolproof, and I had one that was not foolproof. I mean, I proved that wrong where two of them did get eaten. There was nothing left of them, just the three that remained. And there's others. I mean, you can do Poecilotheria to up to a point, but you figure when I mean, they've been found in the wild in the same trees. So you think about that. If you could set up something where they have enough room as adults, you could keep Poecilotheria probably all the way through as a communal. But most people don't do it because it's such a costly risk, especially here in the States with how much we pay for spiders over here. Oh, who am I missing? This thing's like going, and it shouldn't be. I'm scrolling back. I didn't have to do that before. 56, I only have four. Is that your age and how many you have? A lot of people only have a handful of them because they either don't have the room or they don't have the finances or whatever it may be. I have way too many. Oh, that's cool, Shanny. That's really cool. Yeah, my pulker's on. Well, this is 14 days today, so fingers crossed. She's still down there with it. I flooded her out the other day. Sprayed the crap out of her, and she opened up and came out, and got water, and went right back down again. So that's a good sign. And actually, tonight before I go to bed, another spray down day. Hello, Lori. Jamie, or Jennifer, sorry. I don't know why I saw Jamie there. We're doing pretty good. This is the most people I've had in at one time so far. Saying 17 here, but only 16 there, but still. Hello, doing Tavion. Tavion. Yeah, we're getting a lot of new people. That's cool. Batman's Pants. That's an interesting name. Yeah, there are P. Metallica. A lot of people keep P. Metallica as a communal. I think pretty much all of them except for one, right? Was it the Ornata that was not advised to keep as communal? I think it might have been them. I'm not a huge Poecilotheria fan, so I don't keep up with them. I let Amy and a few other people on a tarantula community group. They're the Poecilotheria experts, so I usually defer my answers or the questions that are given to me to them so they can answer them. Because I like them. I'm just not into them as much as I am other things, and as much as other people too. Oh yeah, but I missed Eight-Legged Diaries. Oh, there you are. How did I miss you? Well, I'm trying to remember people's names with their channel's names. So Eight-Legged Diaries is Charlie, if I'm right. I could be completely wrong. I need to make a notebook so that I can relate people's names to their channel. So when I do these lives, I can actually speak to you as you. 28 tees, 2 jumpers, and a huntsman. A lot of people, David, a lot of people get tarantulas to overcome their fear of arachnophobia, and they'll actually be more comfortable around them. But the difference between them and house spiders is they're in an enclosure, so you have that sense of safety because they're in a box, where the house spiders aren't, so you still have that little bit of fear of spiders. It's when you start interacting with your tarantulas a little bit more that you'll go and you'll be able to just pick a spider up that's crawling through the house, take it outside and let it go. That's when you know you're over your fear. I never really had that, but before I really got into this stuff, You know, if a spider was in here, my wife would make me kill it. Now I don't kill them anymore. I just take them outside and let them go. And if it's like a P-otics or something, then they go in an enclosure and we keep them here. Because I like the jumping spiders. They're a lot of fun. Yeah, tax return and expo is a lot of trouble. You know, the last jumping spider that we found here, what was it, January? It was like 2 degrees outside and it was crawling through the kitchen. So I put it in a little enclosure here and we were having a lot of fun. It fed twice. And I opened the lid the one day and it jumped out and it took off so fast I never found it again. So it's running around here in the house somewhere. I never really had any aspirations to do a Poecilotheria communal just because of the size of enclosure you would really end up needing in the end. I just even to the point where they're at like 2 inches, you need a decent size enclosure, and that's just not because I don't have a lot of space there. I mean that's one reason, but I just never wanted to have something that big. That's why I've stayed away from Theraphosa species. I just don't want anything that big. Elaciadora is probably going to be my limit. That's if she stays in the collection. I have people that are interested in buying her, so I might sell her. I do have the little one left, but yeah, I think, see, me, 5 inch spiders are perfect. I mean, they're perfect size. You could have way more 5 inch spiders than you can other than drawers, pretty much anything. And there's more spiders that are around 5 inch, especially African spiders that are around that 5 inch, possibly 6 inch mark. 6 inches isn't too bad. Chelobrachys are pretty much the same way, 4, 5, 6 inches. That's kind of my interest level. Nandu, my Caropoensis, she's a 5 inch. She'll be a 5 inch spider. The Phonopelma chalcodes, 4 to 5 inch spider. That's what I kind of like. So I try to keep it that way as best as I can. So having a communal of a bunch of spiders that can get 7, 8, 9 inches, that just doesn't even interest me in the least bit. Yeah, I know he's got the Highlands. I think that would be kind of interesting because my Highland is the only one that I really want to keep. But I don't know that I want a communal of them. I'd like to breed her, but not. I don't know that I'd want to have a communal of them. Yeah, you're getting up there, Zena. 100, over 100 now. So we've been doing pretty good here as far as my Chelobrachy species electric blue molted. I just found that molt yesterday, but she must have molted about a week ago. I tried to feed her, but she didn't want anything to do with it. She's looking really, really sharp now. Um, I didn't find really any other molts up here. I fed everybody here. I didn't video anything. I just wanted, you get to that point where sometimes you just want to feed and be left alone with the camera. You know, I didn't want to have that, okay, I got to get feeding clips because I got to get a video out. Sometimes you just put the camera away and just, you know, feed them, enjoy them, and then take some pictures of them. That's what I did yesterday, but it was just these guys here. So we have these ones over here, and the slings will be ready to be fed again, and then the guys behind me. So maybe we'll do some filming of the guys behind me, but yeah, the slings are a little bit more difficult because they're all, pretty much all of them are buried. They're all mostly African and Asian species, so they're all pretty much buried. 8. I remember when I only had 8. I went from like 8 to like 28 in like no time, like within 2 orders. I just went crazy for a while because, you know, you just want them all, and you start ordering, you're ordering, and they're coming in, and when you get them, you're like, okay, now I have that, now let's see what else I can get. And I mean, I really wished I would have paid more attention to what I would have been more interested in the beginning, because I definitely wouldn't have as many as I have. That I can guarantee you. And then when you don't have them, you don't really worry about not having them anymore, or not having them because you never had them. It's like when with your paycheck, you don't see the taxes coming out, so it doesn't really bother you. I mean, it does bother you because they're being taken out, but you don't see it. But if they gave it to you and then they took it away, You know, that kind of bugs me. So that's why it's so hard to figure out which ones you want to, lessen in your collection. 53 for Jennifer. It just takes time, Tavian. It just takes time. Yeah, true spiders are quick. Much quicker than tarantulas, even though tarantulas are quick, but true spiders are quick. And I'm looking for some really, really cool wolf spiders around here this year. I had one a couple years ago. I can't remember what it was. It was an off one, but it was just absolutely beautiful. It was a female, laid an egg sac, and the egg sac opened with the babies. She took care of them, and then I let her and the babies go. I didn't want to have all those little babies in here, and I mean, let them go and enjoy their lives out there again. So I kept her for about 6 or 7 months, and then I let her go. $56 for Julian. Ryan's got 87. I don't handle many. It's very rare. The Plesiopelma species Bolivia came out yesterday. She crawled. I'm hoping she's a she, but she crawled on my hand and then went right back into her closure again. So she didn't. It's the first time she's ever even attempted to crawl out of her enclosure. So I was kind of shocked. I mean, she's molted like I think I've had her for 2.5 years. She's molted probably 5 or 6 times, and this last molt was the first time that I really saw some type of increase in size. It's a little bit more noticeable now. Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to deal with a pokey communal either, Jennifer. I really doesn't interest me. Yeah, I think you guys do have some pretty cool ones over there in the UK, stuff again that we don't have here. But yeah, Lori, you say that. I said that too. I could stop at 20. You know what? 25 isn't too bad. Oh, 50 is a good number. Oh, why not get triple digits? And now we're at 138, I believe, with a total of 8 more coming by the end of April, all African stuff. Is there a tarantula that I don't have that I would love to have? Um, hmm. There's Pteronachilus vorax. I think that's the species name. That's something that I would really like to have. Um, and I like the Theraphosinae species Colombia and the Panama. Those are really good looking tarantulas. So those would probably be two. And I'd like to get another Sericopelma melanatarsum. I had one, but it died. So that one's probably up there as far as if I saw one, I would probably get it. But I'd be pretty particular about if I went to an expo on what I would get, if anything. I'd actually probably be more inclined to buy isopods and springtails and dried up leaves and stuff like that than I would be to buy another spider. At least that's what my plan is when I'm going to Buffalo, is to look for the Sericopelma melanatarsum. That's not till May, and I can get a hold of Arachnoid and Steve and see if he's going to be there, and if he is, he can get one for me and have it there for me. That's kind of my goal, but not a lot more. There's not many more that or that I drool over and say I gotta have. Yeah, a lot of people do, Lori. A lot of people like the big ones. A lot of people like the little tiny ones. I like the ones kind of in the middle. So if I'm behind on your comments here, again, there's 19 people in here right now, so I'm doing my best to try and keep up as much as I possibly can. But when I start talking, I don't pay attention to where I'm at down here. False widows under your couch. They'll go anywhere. Those ones will be anywhere. They like dark though. They really like places that are dark. Yeah, the zebra jumping spiders. I don't know how big they are over there, but the ones that we have are like they're really really small. Yeah, I got some as freebies too that I was never really looking for. Never had. I'm not saying that I wasn't interested in them, but I wasn't actively shopping for, like my Chilobrachys species electric blue, my Salmopaeus Victory was a gift, not a freebie, but a gift. And then my Poecilotheria metallica was a freebie. I got some really really good freebies from Pelt Friction. So you guys, whoever's here in the United States, go check out Pelt Friction because and mention that I sent you in the comments. If you mention that I sent you, your freebie might be just a little bit better than what it was before. And there may be a time that I actually pick it out. We'll start doing ads when I do the videos, and I'll explain that a little bit more. But I got to get back with Ali again and the details on all that. But so if you do order from Pelt Friction here, just mention in the comments that Eerie Arachnids sent you, and again, I may be picking out your freebie for you. Julian wants to know what everybody's top 3 favorite tarantulas are. Well, I'm sure that'll change, Vic, when the big move is all settled and you're all set, because now you'll have a little bit more of a range of things that you can get that you couldn't get before. Oh, Rachel sent me. I'll have to look at that in a little bit. I don't want to open it up and lose this, but she's sending me a picture of myself on the big screen. I don't know if I want to see that. Seymour Shawley. That's interesting in the top 3. A lot of people like the P. regalis. I never really had interest in them. OBT. That's the $100 million question, Sophie's mom, is where they will go when they're full grown. You see, because you see this back there. Eventually, those are all going to be 5 or 6 inch spiders right here. Where am I going to put them? I don't know. We'll probably be out of where we're at right now, with a little bit more room, but not a ton more room. So we're going to reduce what's here and then kind of specialize in some things. I'll be 50 this year, so the next couple of years, I'm really going to start reducing some of the New World stuff that I have and just keep some of the things that I want to specialize in. So the channel will change just a tad bit, but it won't happen right away. It's going to happen over the course of the next handful of years. I'll have to see. I'll have to see how my MD progresses, and you just never know with all that. But a lot of people start and they go crazy. I mean, like Christian saying, he started in June of 2018 and has 108 right now. So it's roughly 7-8 months to crank out over 100. I've seen a lot of other people do it. I mean, I've seen people get 400 in a month. Their first month in, they have just disposable money and they're throwing it all over the place, and it's unbelievable the amount of money people will spend. But I was never that way. I always was kind of conscious of what I wanted to get, and I spent wisely, I guess, to ensure that I get the best bang out of my buck. What's my favorite Asian genus? Chilobrachys. Alien in NC asks, who here thinks the GBB is the best tea to own? Well, I mean, they're great, and I mean, I think everybody should have one. Um, Whether they're the best or not, I guess that's all opinion based, but definitely a really really good one to have. Yeah, Shanty. I don't know that I really want, because I know Shanti is doing a lot with isopods. I don't know that I want to get into the point where I'm going to do a bunch of stuff, but I wouldn't mind having like a. I said this before. I wouldn't mind having a small bioactive, like in a 2.5 gallon or something like that. That is nothing but mulch stuff and wood and leaves and isopods with millipedes and stuff like that. But that's got to be something I do in the future where I can do it someplace. I mean, I could do it outside in the spring, summer, and fall, and just leave the enclosure out there and just add to it or subtract to it if I need to. But not anything like, I mean, I got 2 roach colonies in here. I got superworm and a small. I got to redo my mealworm colony. That'll be something that I got to get back by the end of March. I usually really start to refarm my mealworms in March, so I'll get an order of like 1 or 2 thousand of them in, and then we'll get them set up, and then just let them have babies. And by this time, usually that farm starts to die. Um, I try to do one a year, or at least every year and a half anyway. Yeah, Rach, that you can't go wrong with the GBB, Sophie's mom. You really can't. I mean, they're great spiders. Yeah, that's important here. And I mean, if you start from the beginning and you know what you like, it's so much easier to hone your collection to what you actually do want. It's again when you get a majority of them like this. I mean, there's ones here that, I mean, I got a Bumba cabocla that was given to me free, so I love it, but I don't think I would ever order it, and it's not something that I would ever miss if I didn't have it. Um, Same thing. I mean, I have a Lasiodorus difficilis Kluge. I like the Kluge because I like saying that name, but I like the Kluge a little bit more than the Paribana and difficilis. So if I had to pick one, I would pick that one. But I have the like the Lasiodorides polycuspalitis. If I didn't get that one, if I didn't see that one, before, and I didn't have it, it wouldn't kill me. So it's kind of trying to pick what you want. The Fauna Palma probably wouldn't really have any, to be honest with you. I mean, I like the Chalcodes; they're really really cool, and that was something that I wanted to get in the beginning. I have to get one. I have to get one. I have 2 right now, but it's probably something I wouldn't have got. Even my little moderatum, I probably wouldn't have got. Simani is another one I just probably wouldn't have got right now. I mean, if you gave me the option, they would probably be gone if I could get them out of my head and say, oh, I'm going to miss them. What do you want, pup? I may have to let her out, so. Yep. Give me a minute. I got to go let the dog out. Just keep chatting. Sorry about that, guys. I haven't got up before. It's a good thing I have pants on, huh? Yeah, a lot of people, Ryan, a lot of people love Grammastola. I'm iffy, I mean, I like them, but it's another one that if they weren't here, it wouldn't be all that big of a deal. Hey, Al, I didn't see Al come in. No, I was gone, so I don't know. Maybe I just missed. Purpurea is nice. I had one, it didn't make it as a sling. They're very, very delicate as slings, so I would advise, looking at an inch and a half one or bigger, whatever that would be centimeters for you guys. Elbow pelosum are awesome. I don't know why people are all down on elbow pelosum. Oh, see, yeah, P. Pulcher is your top three. You're doing that just to kiss my butt. I mean, Simulpass Pulcher are my favorite overall. I just love them. I love the coloring, that blonde. I so hope that egg sac is good because they're so cute when they're little tiny slings. I don't know if it's purple that quick. Probably not. I mean, they still have that, avic sling look to them. I would say you're probably looking at more like inch and a half before you, whatever that is in centimeters, before you start seeing that purple. I mean, I have two of the urinensis, the avicular urinensis, or what used to be called the Peru purples, and they just look like an everyday normal avic sling right now, and they're both probably 3/4 to 1 inch in size. You know what, Alien, I don't think that there's really anything wrong. There's a lot of people that do it. If you watch John 3800, the majority of his feeding videos are all done with worms, and I don't see any of his spiders huge and fat like people keep saying, because super worms and mealworms are fatty, especially wax worms. But I really don't buy that. And with that experience with the OBT, that's what I'll be doing. One of those will only be fed worms for at least a year, possibly two. So we'll have to see how that differs. But I honestly don't think there's a major deal with only feeding worms. Some people can't feed roaches, like people live in Florida, and I think pretty much anybody in Canada. I don't think you guys can do roaches up there, right? It's either crickets or worms. And if I had to choose between crickets and worms, it would be worms all the time. So, all right. So right now I'm on new comments that are right around 3:48 p.m. and it's 3:53. So I'm about 5 or 6 minutes behind. So trying to answer everything. Okay, Vic. Have a good day. Hopefully everything goes well tomorrow for you. Yeah, the burrow. That's the bad part about the worms, is they burrow. And what's best, really, honestly, with worms, feeding them to webbing tarantulas that are heavy webbers is the best ones for those to use, or adult spiders that stay out, because you can drop it right in front of them, and they're either going to take it or not right away. So you can take it away if they don't before it starts to burrow. I'll feed my larger adult females worms a lot, just less often, between feedings. That's the thing. If I'm feeding roaches, I will feed a little bit more often than I would with a superworm. And maybe a 5-day span or a week span difference between the two if I'm doubling them up in a row. Now, a lot of times I will too, Julian, just switch them up. It all depends on what mood I'm in. I was gonna stop and get crickets today, little ones for these guys up here, but I want to get home quick enough to get this up and going for all my UK friends, and I'll get crickets tomorrow for them, or I'll just they're due for feeding, but they'll be okay for another day. I think they're on day 4, so they're still okay. But I do have all the little nymph red runners. There's tons of them in there. I just need them to grow up. I need to put an order in for about 1,000 of the red runners right now too, so that'll be happening quickly. Yeah, the new river rust rump is basically just an Aphonopelma. When they did the revision, it's an Aphonopelma chalcodes is what it is, not just an Aphonopelma, but a chalcodes. I was the one who let the dog out. Just so you guys know that when they wrote that song, I was the one that let the dog out. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. You know, my female Chalcodes is a little bit more high strung, and the juvenile is a hider. So when I open up, she goes right. I don't know if she goes down into her burrow and stays there. If I feed her, I just put whatever I'm feeding her into her burrow, and it just kind of crawls down to her, and she'll get it. But she's not very keen on staying out and about. My Euathlus, not Euathlus, I can't say that, I screw that up. The Homoioma chilensis is probably my most chilled. My Plesiopelma species Bolivia, believe it or not, it's actually pretty laid back. My Grammostola porteri, quote unquote, that one's pretty laid back as well. That one's still small, you know, almost 2 inches, right around 2 inches. Yeah, Norman almost came out yesterday. You guys know who Norman is, right? I was feeding him, and he actually feeding and watering him, and he almost came out. Almost. He was up there, but when I put my hand in front of him, he wasn't real keen on that. Yeah, I wished I would have took that approach, Aaron, myself. You know, it's not like I don't like anything that I have here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, my Cereopagapus Hananeus is a handful, but I don't dislike her. She doesn't want to stay in her enclosure. So what I need to do with her is get her something a little bit bigger, so I have a little bit more time, because her burrow is like that far from the lid, so she doesn't go up and over to feed. She goes up and out. Like, she doesn't care. She just straight, and she did it again yesterday, and I said that's the last time. I'm gonna choke that spider if it comes out again. Not that I would actually want to put my hands on it, but I almost did yesterday just to keep it where it was. I had 2 come out yesterday. The Selenocosmia covariki, that one came out. I haven't seen that one in a while. Finally came out. What a beautiful spider, but I couldn't get a picture of it. But I put a mealworm in for it. Didn't want to take it. So when I was taking it away, the spider kind of got spooked and came out and crawled around the outside of its enclosure. So it's in one of the die-cast car display cases, about yay big. Crawled all the way around and came back in, and then found one of its burrows. Am I going to sell the slings? You mean the pulkers? Probably. I have a lot of people already that are interested in them, so it depends on how many I get. I'm going to keep between 6 and 8 for myself, and then I have a handful of people that want to wholesale buy them. We'll have to see how many I get. I don't want to ship a whole bunch of them. It's just a pain for me because I don't have a business, so me shipping spiders to people costs a lot of money. Because I don't have an account like other people do where they can, ship for $40. If I'm shipping something to Oregon, it's going to cost $80, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather just wholesale them to people that can sell them that have, a cheaper shipping than I do. That's a lot of elbows there, Shani. Elbows. 10 of them. I have 2. I have 3 Homori. I think that's 3 Marinus tetes, 5 of the OBT, the Busambaras. I think that's the one I have the most of, but again, 4 of them I wouldn't have got these 4 if I didn't want to do the experiment. I would just have the one female and then try to breed her again when she molted next time, but now I don't know if I will. My Thai zebra is a pain. When it's feeding time, I don't, let's just put it in and leave her go, because she's another one that will blow right past her food and then crawl up the side of the enclosure, and that's just not one I really want to mess with, the Von Worthy. So we had a spider die, actually. I had a feeling, and I had a feeling this last molt. I've had her for I think it was 44 months, so almost 4 years. And when I got her, she was a 2-inch confirmed female. And that's my female Neoholteli Insei passed away. And Um, Again, I think she would have been roughly 2, maybe 3 years old already. That'd be at 2 inches. So 4 years with me, 7 years old for a dwarf female is right around the average length of time. She wasn't dehydrated or anything. She ate a couple weeks ago. Wasn't interested last week, and I knew last week she just wasn't looking good. She was real pale looking. Her color was bad, but she had just molted not too long ago. So you kind of have that. You could, like I said, if you round them enough, you start to read them and you understand their body posture and when things are different, especially ones that you've had for quite a long time. And yeah, so I mean, it's sad that she's gone. I mean, I have two little ones here, but it was probably her time. She was an old spider for her species. Yeah, roaches are illegal in Canada. Yeah, I think they're illegal, but I do see people using them, and I always wonder if some of them that do YouTube that use them. I hope they don't get in trouble for it. I think they're illegal because they don't want them to be an invasive species, so they don't want them to, get out and then overpopulate somebody's house and then move to someplace else, and then before you know it, Canada's got this big, huge roach problem that they may not have. I don't know if you guys have roach problems there, but that would be the reasoning. It'd be no different than Australia. They don't let animals come in because they don't want them to destroy their ecosystem. So I would imagine that that's the reason why Canada doesn't allow roaches. Adam, congrats on the 1K there, Adam. Absolutely, I would get it, Ryan. I love Strategara, so yeah, there'd be no doubt in my mind I would get one if they become available. But you can imagine the cost of what they're going to be when and if they ever get here. It's just one of those ones I don't believe you will see here in the States. I just don't believe we will. Yeah, some like to crawl and climb, Lori. I don't know why my Homora, I see her on the side of her enclosure like she was there for 2 straight days on the side, literally 2 straight days, didn't move an inch. Now she's back down again, but it's usually after I feed her that she gets that way. No, I appreciate that, Julian. You have to let me know what you get. I'd be kind of curious. Somebody else last week said that they were on their way to go get a tarantula, but I don't remember who it was. Yeah, they actually described that one. I don't remember what the genus name was, or not the genus, but the species name of that is. But it's definitely a Ceratojaurus. Yeah, Lori, I don't blame you. I get that a lot. I'm like, why are you climbing? I mean, there's no reason for you to climb. I can tell you one thing that you can try for those of you that have terrestrial spiders that like to climb a lot and don't like to go down is to have them come out, couple them, get them out of the enclosure, and then really, really pack the substrate down. Really, 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 really super tight. Even if you got to dampen it a little bit to get it down, then add a little bit more and pack it down, then add a little bit more and pack it down. When they have stable footing and they can feel underneath them, again, they have that ability. So if they can feel and they feel like the ground is a little bit unstable, they may not want to stay down there. I found that out a few years ago with one of my Brachypelma homoris. As a matter of fact, Obi back here, he was on the side all the time. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. So I changed the substrate and then I packed the living crap out of it, and then he never climbed again. So it just could be the stable footing that they just don't feel comfortable with. So that I would try that. Just I mean, give it a shot, see if that helps. You know what? I'm not a fan of cocoa fiber. I used it pretty much exclusively, like everybody does when they're new, but I would never buy it again unless I ran out of stuff and that was the only thing available. I mean, I do have half a bag here that I'll mix in with stuff, but I won't use it exclusively as a substrate. Period. As for just one substrate, it'll get mixed in with stuff. Yeah, it's not always moisture though, Christian. It's not always moisture. It can be other things. That there could be a worm in there that is crawling around, pupating that you didn't find that they are uncomfortable with, because they will fill that underneath. And it sometimes also can be, like I said, the unstable footing. G. pulchripes can be a little bit more feisty than people really believe they are. Yeah, what do we have that have the horns? We have I have the Sanderi, the Brachycephalus, Darling, and the Marshalli. Those are the four that have. And then you have the Hoffmanni. That's a New World one that has a horn. But the Ceratosaurus meridionalis doesn't have a horn. I'm just wondering if that actually should be Ceratosaurus or not. But yeah, you sometimes just don't know, Jennifer. I mean, you could try a bunch of stuff and they don't like it. Sometimes you can change substrates and then they will never climb again. It's weird, I mean, we really can't understand why they do the things that they do. You just kind of have to try and read them the best you can, and then try and change things. It's like a spider that you put in an enclosure and you give a bunch of hides and it huddles in the corner all the time. There's something wrong that's not making that spider comfortable. You can tell. Not, I mean, people say it's called stress, but I don't know. It's just they just don't feel comfortable where they are. I've had a couple of those where I put them together. They just sit in the corner. I'm like, there's like 6 inches of dirt there. My Ephobopa sinanathus, that's one. I made this beautiful enclosure for it, and it huddled in the corner. It didn't dig for crap. So I took it back out. I put a little bit more like wood stuff in there for it to just not have so much dirt cover. So there's a little bit of wood on top, and there's a bunch of plants and stuff that's in there. And 3 days later, it dug a hole. So you just don't know. What makes them do the things that they do. Yeah, I'm actually caught up with the comments. That's kind of nice. What substrate do I prefer? I prefer a mixture of stuff my own. But if I was just going with one substrate and you could just go buy it and use it, it would be the ZooMed jungle mix. I like the texture. I like the look. It holds moisture pretty well. It'll drain pretty well too, so you don't get that puddling too much up top. So any of you guys that really want to drain your enclosure, you're having problems with like water puddling with cocoa fiber is a big one. Mix it with sand and a little bit of clay. If you get some sand in there, sand helps the water go down, and then the clay will hold it down there. But a lot of people are like, oh, I use cocoa fiber and I can't get the humidity hold, and it won't go down, or you have to like poke holes around the side in order to get it to go down. Mix it with some sand. Don't have to be a ton of it, maybe like 75% cocoa fiber, 25% sand. Then mix it all together, and then pack it down, and that sand will help the water drain. Christian, there's a couple that I found, and this is what I've paid attention to with C. lividus. If they're wild caught, if you buy them and they're wild caught female, you bring them home, sometimes they just will not dig. They absolutely will not dig. You can make a starter burrow for them. They will not use it. They will just huddle in the corner and stay there. Why that is, I don't know, but that's what seems to be the norm for them. Not saying all of them are like that, but I've seen a lot that do that. If you get them as non-wild caught or captive bred, generally they burrow. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I've just seen so many posts on groups that say my lividus will not burrow. I don't know what to do. I made a burrow for it. I poked it over to the burrow. It will not go in it. I don't know what's going on. Again, it could be the substrate. It just could be they're wild caught. It could be that they're gravid. I honestly, I don't know. I've seen a rash of Aphonopelma simanis come into the States over the last month or two that are laying egg sacs. People are like, oh my God, I got my first tarantula and it laid an egg sac like a week later, and they don't know what to do. So that's the risk you run with I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, I had two that were wild caught that laid egg sacs. Neither of them worked out, but yeah, you just don't know. I don't. My lividus took right to the hole, so I don't know. Yeah, vermiculite you can add. That'll help hold the moisture, Rach. That'll help hold the moisture. But it's the sand will help get it down to the bottom a little bit. It helps it filter through the dirt. Where vermiculite just grabs it and holds it. Sand actually filters it down through. Yeah, white rose. I've had a lot of mold issues with cocoa fiber, a lot of them. And what I think people don't understand is they go to the store and they buy a bag of cocoa fiber and they're like, oh, it's produced and it's in a bag. It's all okay. I've been to pet stores when they were just unloading and they bring it in and the bags are just completely full of condensation. And if you really realize where cocoa fiber comes from, when they crush the cocoa fiber and grind it up, it just gets shot into a truck. It gets trucked someplace. And it gets put into a warehouse. Then from that warehouse, it gets put onto a conveyor, and on the conveyor it goes into the bagging system. So you have it sitting outside in warehouses, or outside in I don't want to say indoor warehouses, but like outdoor pits that this stuff is stored in. So you just don't know what's in it. People think it's all this great, and it's going to be free of pesticides. Well, it should be, but free of spores and free of everything else in it, and it really isn't. I've had more problems with mold in cocoa fiber enclosures than any other substrate that I've ever used. Bear with me. I got to go let the dog back in before she starts barking at somebody else. It's not easy to get in this way. Okay, I'm back. Dog's in. So I didn't let the dog out anymore. I'll let the dog in. Tarantula do. I honestly I can't tell you. I have to see the enclosure and get an idea. But again, my advice is to take the spider out, repack the substrate. If it's cocoa fiber, especially those little tiny fibers, you don't see those hairs that come up. That's why I stopped using it, because of all those little fiber hairs that are all over. That's why I like the Zoo Med Jungle Mix better. You don't have that stuff. It's more like a chipped up mulch kind of a thing. A little bit darker substrate. Let me see if I have someone that's real close here that's using it. There you are. I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this because of the light, the reflection from the light. No, maybe it's a reflection from this. But this is kind of what it looks like. You see all the chipped up different things inside of it. So this is what it looks like out of the bag. I didn't have to mix anything with it. Man, I think this is my Cancrochons in here. Yep, that's a Cancrochon. So this guy's about yay big, and he didn't really, or she didn't really burrow much in the other enclosure. They just kind of made a web thing. This one they actually burrowed in. I think it's just a substrate choice. This stuff packs real well, and it'll hold the moisture real well. So that's why I went to that. And I was getting, because I got it on sale, and I brought it home. It was like $3 off on a bag. I think it was like $6.98 or something. Same size bag as what you would get cocoa fiber. I brought it home. I started using it. I was like, I don't think I'd ever use anything else. I mean, again, I do have mixed stuff, but that stuff is really good right out of the bag. Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, go to Tom Moran's channel. He makes his own. He mixes stuff, topsoil and vermiculite, and he'll mix in some sphagnum moss, and depending on the tarantula, I don't know if he uses sand at all. A lot of people are so against sand because of the big myth of, oh, that's going to get in their lungs and hurt them, but it's no different than the fibers of the cocoa fiber. Again, sand is specifically used just to filter water in their enclosures. And it's great with Asian species because, again, that moisture will get down to where you want it, down the bottom quicker. It won't puddle as much up on top. I like sand. I mean, we use sand out here outside. I used the rest of it outside because there's a water line that was broke from the property above us. So we were having problems with a big ice patch when it got real cold. So I'd use my sand to make a footing for my wife so she didn't slip and kill herself. So that, once it warms up, I'll have to get another bag of sand. But I got that big, huge bag of play sand. I didn't need anything that big, you just get something like this and you just use a scoop of it every now and then. But another thing that's good is excavator clay. You can use that too. If you have like a Phaneropelma chalcodes or some of your Mexican species, you can use the excavator clay and set up burrows for them. You can wet it down. I don't know if anybody's ever done this before with geckos or whatever, but you take just excavator's clay and you take a balloon and you blow up the balloon. So, like the long thin balloons. You blow up the balloon, you stick it in, and then you put the excavator clay in, and you wet it down, and you let it sit for, 2 or 3 days, and then you pop the balloon, and then you have a burrow that won't collapse, and then you just moisten it down every now and then, and the spiders really love it. I haven't done a spider with exclusively excavator's clay. I have a couple with the scorpions, but not with the tarantulas. So I've always wondered, I'd like to try that, but it's so heavy. So, you got a big spider with that excavator clay. It's really, really heavy. That's kind of one reason I haven't used it. But, to be honest with you, Lori, what I want to try this year, we have woods right next door to us, and there's no pesticides. There's no crap over there. I'd like to just go dig dirt up from there, put it in a bucket, and bring it over here, throw it in an enclosure, and stick a spider in. And just see the reactions people get because they're like, oh, crazy about taking stuff from outside and putting it in your enclosure. I've been doing it for years, with wood or out, living moss outside. I'll go and cut squares of living moss and put it in. My Chilobrachys electric blue had a square of living moss in its last enclosure. And you can keep it alive by just dampening it every now and then it holds that dampness. I use tons of stuff from outside that I've never had problems with. People go crazy. You gotta bake it, and I just, you're better off. I tell you, there's probably less stuff in the dirt out there in the woods than there is in the bag of cocoa fiber that you buy from the store. People go crazy about parasites and other things, and the bioactive stuff that's in the dirt outside, again, in a place where there's non-pesticides, is going to be way better for your tarantula than a bag of cocoa fiber is any day. Depending on what the fertilizers are, Lori, that actually I know some that uses Scott's topsoil, and that has those small pieces of the fertilizer in them, has been using it for years and have never had a problem with their spiders dying. Never. It's just so many people get worried about things, and then it becomes such a blown up thing, and then they worry, like, oh God, I heard that this might happen, so I don't want to try it because, again, better be safe than sorry, right? And that's why people keep saying that with outdoor stuff, is better be safe than sorry. But again, I mean, I guess if you had someone sitting in front of you that read Moby Dick and somebody sitting next to you that heard about Moby Dick, and you were asking them questions, which one would you believe more, right? The person that read it versus the person that's heard it. So I get so many people get all over me when I say stuff on Facebook groups that I don't bake anything. I will go out there, I will go down to the beach, I will get a piece of driftwood, I will rinse it off, and it goes right into the enclosure, and I've not had problems. Just get play sand, Lori. Any toy store that you would be able to get a sandbox or anything like that, just strictly play sand. Don't get the Kelsey sand that you buy at, first of all, it's too expensive. That's stuff you buy at the pet store. Just go to a department store that would have play sand and get a bag of play sand. That's all I used. You could probably go to like a nursery, that have shrubs and brushes, and probably find some type of sand there too. Don't go to the beach and get it. First of all, like our beach, you can't take sand from, but I wouldn't go to the beach and get it. I would just buy it because it's filtered and it's washed and it's clean. Um, Sand from the wild, you know, you have a lot of fish that die, and there's a lot of things that bacteria get into sand. I don't think that I would just go down and do that. That would be something I probably wouldn't do. But wood and other things, I would not have any problems with. Yeah, you could get anything from eBay or Amazon if you want to pay the shipping. But I would think, and I never really checked Walmart to see if they have play sand. To be honest with you, I would imagine they would, but you'd have to go like to the toy section back there, like the outdoor toys, or maybe the outdoor, where they would sell dirt stuff like that. I would imagine that they would have sand. I just never really checked because I bought that big huge bag. It was like 70-pound bag about 4 or 5 years ago, and now I'm out of it, so I got to look for it again. And I got it at a toy store. That's where I got it, Toys R Us, and of course Toys R Us went out of business here, so I don't have that option anymore. Yeah, a lot of people use pure peat. The problem I have with pure peat is that it's dusty as hell. That was my problem. And my problem with cocoa fiber and peat, I haven't found it with the Zoom Edge stuff yet, but I'm sure it'll happen, is over time, when it gets damp and it gets dry and it gets damp and it gets dried, it contracts. So it pulls away from the sides of the enclosure. I never liked that. So the only way to combat that is then to wet it all back down or add more. So, and peat just, the stuff that I bought a huge bag of peat moss. And it was the Canadian sphagnum peat moss. No additives, no nothing, completely organic. And when I was putting in the enclosure, there was just a cloud of dust all over the place. So I stopped using it. I think the best actually that you could actually get would be earth soil. A lot of people call it black earth or black soil, and then add stuff to it. A lot of times you'll end up with isopods and springtails with it, and that's just perfectly great. Yeah, you have to play with the mixture to get it to the point where you can hold the form of the enclosure and keep the dust down. That's pretty good. If you guys look at White Rose's comment there, he mixes his 7 parts peat to 5 parts topsoil, 3 parts vermiculite, and then 2 parts clay sand. So just think of, like if you take this cup and you take 7 cups of peat and five of these of topsoil and 3 of vermiculite, and then 2 of play sand, and then mix it all together. Mix it up real good with your hands. Then you have a big container of that, so you can just go to get it whenever you want. A lot of people do that, where they'll take a big, huge bin or a Tupperware or whatever, sterile container, and mix their substrate in there and then close it. I did that here 1 year, and what happened, because we weren't insulated great in this room, and it was really cold in the wintertime, so I was running a heater. So what ended up happening is the substrate that I had made got so wet from condensation, even though I had just a few little aeration holes in it, that it just molded all over. I had to dump it all. I was pretty upset about it. So I haven't done that since. I just mix it up when I need it. Now, Sophie, or yeah, Rach, you have to you got to play with it. Um, let's just say we were going to fill this enclosure up with substrate, and we wanted to mix this substrate with sand, and it was going to be completely full. So what I would say would be like 1/8, maybe a little less than a quarter of this would be the sand that you would use, and then the rest of it would be the substrate, and then you would just mix it all together, and then the sand would just filter, it would mix all through there. So you have to play with that where you live, because climates, and how much you spray or water and what species it is. Climates change from global location to global location. So things that work for me here may not exactly work for you. Your mixture may have to be a little different than what mine is. You may a little bit more vermiculite than less. I have 2 bags of vermiculite. I use it very rarely because our humidity level here especially in late spring and summer, is astronomical. I mean, we could go through month of 90 to 90% humidity here. So I don't really need to add much more to their enclosures, and sometimes I have to turn a fan on to really circulate the air here. So I don't use vermiculite a lot because I don't need to hold that moisture. Where other people that are in a little drier climates and less humidity, they have to. I'm getting hiccups. I never boiled the water, but I always use hot water when I use the bricks. But I haven't used the bricks in years. They're cheaper, and you can get a whole bunch more substrate that way. It's just a pain in the ass to dry it back out again. So here's my advice to you to dry out substrate. So you make your brick, and you're like, you squeeze, you get to a point where you're squeezing water out of it. You need to dry it off. The best thing to do is to take it out of that bucket, squeeze everything you can out, get all the moisture out of it, put it on a garbage bag. If you have an overhead fan in your house or in your room, put a garbage bag out, spread it out on the garbage bag, and then turn the fan on real low, and just let the air go over it. It'll dry out really quickly. Instead of using a hair dryer or a microwave or anything like that, an overhead fan is the best way to actually try out a brick of cocoa fiber. Even if you want to keep it in an enclosure, the problem is that you'll dry it out quicker if you spread it out than keeping it in something like this. It just takes forever, and you may get this part dry, and then you're scooping up and you're realizing, oh crap, the rest of it's still wet, but you have to rehouse a spider. So what do? That's the best way to do it, is an overhead fan. Oh, take it easy, Adam. Good to see you for the time that you were here. Oh, strangest behavior, strangest position. I've had my Grammostola pulchra, my little one, likes to sit at the edge of her burrow going in with her legs forward, spread out, and her butt in the air like this. I catch her like that all the time. I'm hoping it's a her. She's probably the strangest, but there's some of my Ceratogyra species, when they grab their prey, they go back in their burrows. I have a picture of it on Instagram. They will just go headfirst in the burrow, and their butt will stick out. That's all you see. So those are probably the weirdest ones that I've ever had as far as behavior is concerned, or their posture. Actually, no, it's not, Christian. Females will tap without a male. It's not because they don't sense a male in the area. It's that they're tapping, hoping that a male will sense them. Andy's hottie hottie was just the other day. He was showing me a video, and she's about 3.5 inches, almost 4, and she was tapping like crazy at the top of her cork bark. So he's going to try and find a male for her. Later, White Rose. There's one point where Poecilotheria will do this, and I don't know that you can call it slumber or sleep, but you will see a Poecilotheria on the glass, when they're like this, and then their abdomen will kind of like either fall backwards or it'll tilt to the side, and that's when they are completely super relaxed, that they relax all the muscles that hold their abdomen up, and it just kind of teeters to one side or the other. My Subfusca did that a couple times, but that's just a very, very relaxed position. Speaking of her, we'll need to water her and feed her tonight. We'll try to get a video of her, because you don't get her on video very often. Uh-oh. Lori, when you said really, Dave, with the question mark, what are you questioning there? I think bioactive is probably the best way to keep a spider, but you have to have the light to keep the plants, and you have to have a cleanup crew. You have to have isopods and millipedes Um, what's the other one? Springtails. You have to have that stuff in there to keep that bioactive healthy. Yeah, you're right, Robbie. I mean, I think everybody's got to try their own things, and then again, when you get to the point where you're comfortable, sometimes again, experiments are experiments, and that's you're experimenting for the first time, or maybe that it's the first time it's ever been experimented on, and learning from that, and then helping other people later on is one of the things that I like to do. I mean, I've made I can't tell you how many mistakes. It's just crazy, and that I think that's why some people relate to me because they know that I'm not going to bullshit you. If I make a mistake, I'm going to tell you about it, and so that you possibly won't make that mistake either. But I've tried a few things that have not worked out, and I thought for sure I was like, oh, I got the $1 million idea here, and it didn't work at all from day one. I've had a few of those, so yeah, it depends on the beach. I mean, I've got a lot of my driftwood and a lot of my enclosures came from the beach. The one that's in the Homori enclosure came from Elk Creek down here. Um, the one that is in the Elbiceps came from the beach. Again, I bring them home and then you put them in a tub with hot water and rinse them off and let them soak or whatever it may be. I don't with stuff from the beach. I don't throw right in the enclosures, but yeah, I definitely would wash it off, rinse it off, make sure all the sand is off of it, and let it even out in the sun for a day or two. Yeah, how far behind am I? Oh, about 9 minutes worth of comments. I almost need another person sitting next to me to help me answer questions, huh? I ran a humidifier in here when I was sick, um, just for my breathing, and that's I noticed a change in a couple of the tarantulas. I mean, it didn't really do it. I mean, this is a decent sized room, so it didn't, a little just vaporizer is basically what it is, but it's a humidifier vaporizer. Um, when I put the water in it, it'll and it's a warm air, so they're warm. Um, Holy crap, my no, our neighbor's coming over to get the cornhole boards. They have some church thing, so she's telling me at 5 o'clock, after 5 o'clock mass, I'm supposed to help get these cornhole boards. So I may have to pause you, or not pause you guys, but let you guys comment on your own for a little while when that comes on. But I'm kind of scrolling through, so I might have missed a couple questions. If I missed a question that you really want to answer, or I missed and you want me to answer it, ask it again now, so I don't miss it. I can tell you right now, Lori, if I put something in the oven that works for my spiders and my wife found out about it, I wouldn't have spiders anymore. No, I'm actually all caught up. Yeah, I guarantee you there'd be no way that I'd bake something in my wife's oven and still have spiders. I may not even be alive. Okay, so what we covered? Stuff from outside. We've covered substrate. What else can we talk about? Oh, here we go. If I could only keep one T, what would it be and why? Well, again, my favorite spider overall is the Salmopaeus pulcher, so that would probably be the one that I would continually pick. Um, I like them because, and I'm not an arboreal fan, so, but I like them because they're an arboreal that's out. They don't get huge. I think my female's only 5 inches, so she's about my standard perfect size. They're blonde. They're earthy toned is what I like. I like earthy toned tarantulas, and they're tan, blonde, whatever you want to call it. But she's got nice little pink hairs on her too. Um, they can express a little bit of attitude, not like Armenia or Cambridge I do, but she's had her moments. Both of them actually. This one's had more moments than she's had, but it's because it was really the first tarantula I fell in love with. That's probably why. I mean, if I went back through here and said, okay, maybe the Stratojaris darlingii would be up there too. I really like those. So it's really hard to say for sure. But if you put me on the spot, I would answer with Simulpaeus pulcher. Andy, you missed everybody. Adam was in here, and I don't know if Al's still in here or not. But Al's Arachnids was in here, and Vic was in for a little while. They will eat isopods, Christian. I've fed my Chelobrachys species electric blue. When I first got her in, I wanted to keep her enclosure a little bit moister, so I put some isopods in there. And every time I would see her over the course of the next 4 or 5 days, she had an isopod in her mouth, so they will eat them. And another thing that's, your real tiny slings, your 1A slings, even up to a 1/4 inch, maybe even a 1/2 inch. If you're having a hard time finding stuff to feed them, springtails are really good. They will eat them. You just throw some springtails into their enclosure, and they will eat them. You can also take, and a lot of people don't like to do this because they think it's wrong, but if you take wingless or flightless fruit flies, and you actually dust them with calcium, just dust them so that they can't climb. Just a small dusting, or just put a little bit in the bottom, throw them in there, and then they can't climb anymore. Excuse me. They're really good for small slings too. The problem with fruit flies, they climb real well. So, and they will climb out of your vent holes, and before you know it, you think you're feeding your sling, and actually you're not. You're putting fruit flies into an enclosure that just crawl out of your vent. So, but they will eat isopods. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let me check these messages real quick. Why is that? Let me get up there. He's coming around 6, so it would be about an hour and a half for him. No, they're 4x8. Eric ran the 4x8 in 2:05. Their faster runner ran it in 2:07, so he did a little bit better today than normal. That was his last indoor meet. Come on. There we go. I have to get a couple redone, because I had 2 females and I sent those off to Quentin, because he couldn't find females, and I know how much he liked Simulpaeus, so I gave him those, and that's why I ended up with the Ornithoctinae species prison de abuelas female from that. Well, they have the Alcatron. They do have it. They have a female, and I think they have a young male, and I think that their overseas breeder lost the female, his female, so he doesn't have any females left. So Jared texted me, well, sent me a message the other day and said, I'm almost the last hope for these things, so hopefully it goes well. That's the one that I gave the common name of the Darth Vader tarantula, or Darth Vader tree spider. We got a kick out of that, so he said that I'll be one of the first ones to get one if he does have an egg sac, because I named it. But yeah, that they definitely got to get those. I'm sure somebody over there in Germany or Poland eventually will get them and breed them, but he does have a female that's ready to go. It's just a matter of this male, so hopefully soon. Yeah, I'm not a fan of fruit flies, but you know when you have tiny slings like when these pulkers hatch and you know they get to second instar and you separate them, that's probably what I'm gonna have to do is fruit flies as much as I hate it, especially with arboreals. Um, because little arboreal slings like pulkers or menias, Cambridge eyes, they like to want to come out right away. And you know the time that you need to get that fruit fly in there or two of them in there, that's why the dusting helps a little bit because you know once you dust them and then you get rid of the excess calcium powder, then you could just kind of tip the enclosure, they'll slide right in and they can't go anywhere, so they generally will be able to get them. I wouldn't do that for like jumping spiders because they like tracking their prey, so they'll usually get them pretty quickly. But you know, for small slings, dusting them is not going to hurt them. You know, a little bit of calcium powder. Calcium is not going to hurt a tarantula anyway. It's just a huge, huge myth. Now, yeah, take it easy, Aaron. Thanks for stopping in. I had a good time chatting with you earlier too. How you doing, Trace? Yeah, you know, we don't get that here though. There's a couple places that will sell, like, I guess they're blue bottle nymphs or whatever they call them, spikes, I guess. But you got to order them online, and they're just like so expensive. We don't have like fly maggots here that I know of. I mean, we have like little grubs, little tiny grubs. I could probably try those. I haven't, but you have to go to a bait shop to get them. I mean, I've done butterworms. Those are kind of good for like juveniles, um, but not arboreals. I've had no luck with arboreals wanting them. Um, Things like Phormictopus cancerides will take a butterworm, and they're a little bit bigger and thicker. They're almost like a orangish looking worm, a little bigger and thicker than wax worms, and but smaller than like you know the what are the green ones, the hornworms. Yeah, if you do the wax worms and they you know the wax moths, a lot of the smaller arboreal slings love them. Armenia will go crazy for them. I think that Armenia do hunt a lot of flying insects in you know in situ or in nature. So Armenia is one of the only ones I've ever had to that will eat darkling beetles also. Even though there's nothing to them, it's one of those times where you know you have a beetle and you're like, hey, let's throw it in a couple tarantula enclosures, see if any of them eat them, and then you just you know keep taking it out because they won't eat them, and you put it in Armenia, and they're like I used to call them the garbage dumpsters. They'll eat anything, anything that moves. The Armenia will eat. I think that's why people love them so much. You know, a black spider with orange chevrons, and they pretty much well, you probably put a hamburger in there, it'll probably eat it. Yeah, I get the butterworms at Walmart every now and then. That's where I was getting them at, Ryan. They were actually a little bit cheaper than Field and Stream, just so you know. But I don't get them very often. It's a very rare occasion that I get them because they are again I think they're like three. I don't even know how much they are to be honest with you, but I know we got them one time at Field and Stream when my daughter and I were there, and then I found them at Walmart like a couple days later, and they were I don't know 50 or 75 cents cheaper. But yeah, yeah, Vitada. Um, the Tigranocelli seemed my last one, not this one. This one's pretty much buried. I don't ever see this one. I want to get it out of what it's in and put it in something different. Um, my last Tigranocelli loved moths, just absolutely loved them. And again, people complain and whine and moan about it, but I would catch some small moths out by the light out there and bring them in, and they would just love them, just absolutely devour them. People would be like, "Oh, parasites, pesticides." You know, I mean, we're pesticide free around here, and I'm not really worried about parasites in a moth. I don't feed stuff from outside like crickets or worms or things like that, but a moth every now and then I will, especially if one gets in the house. She's doing okay, um, Tracy. I sprayed her down the other day and she came out to drink, so she opened up her webbing, came out, drank, and then came back in. And yesterday she webbed it back up again. So she'll get watered down again today. That's like every 3 or 4 days I'm going to do this until it's time. I don't know that I'm going to pull the egg sac. I think I'm just going to let her do her thing, and then hopefully she doesn't have a ton of them. I mean, she could have 100, 120 that I may be fighting trying to get them out of there. I'll have to get her out of there first and then go through everything and find all those little tiny babies. I may have to take it over to my brother's and do it over there, because if they get out over there, we'll have places that we can, there's more place that they won't hide. We can get them quicker. Here, on my kitchen table would be where I'd like to do them, so I may have to kick the wife out for a little while and do it there, because they'll get out on the table and you can get them real quick. But yeah, she's doing okay so far. Egg sac's still there. So yeah, my plan is I got to take care of those Harpactia pulchripes, getting the paying for that auction, and once that's done, I'm putting in a big order for roaches. We're going to get I think a culture of like 36 hornworms, and then a bunch of super worms and mealworms, and what else was I getting? There was something else I was going to try. Well, I was going to try the blue bottle fly spikes, because we'll have some small. I could probably use those guys with the small Pteronochila, so we'll try those. But I think that's going to be like $80 or $90 worth of feeders, but that should last me through spring and most of summer, and then of course with my roaches. And the only crickets I'll use are for the ones that I have to remember which ones I have to put signs on there to say crickets only, because the ones that actually will only eat them. And then of course the one Pteronochilus marinus, that's all that one's going to get fed is crickets. If you could change a tea, what would you change? You can get glowing kittens now, DNA modified with jellyfish. I don't know that I really change any, except for maybe the coloring. I mean, I like black panthers, but they have those, the spots on them underneath. I think that would be cool to have a black tarantula that have those like little spots or stripes that you could see. And the regular tiger, orange and black and white striping would be really cool on a tarantula. Maybe even a piece of Letharia, that would be kind of cool. But I don't know that I would really kind of Frankenstein anything too much. Oh, we'll see you later, Laura. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for stopping in. Where are we at? An hour and 43 minutes. So what we'll do is we'll run this to 5:30. That'll be my cutoff. That way I can get ready to get these boards out of here with our neighbor, and then make myself something to eat. But I do need to start filming videos, because I should have filmed yesterday when I was feeding. I just had no desire to do it. I just wanted to feed and have a little bit of fun, take some pictures. The one I missed, the one I really wanted to get was my Myriadonalis. But what I found with my Stratojaris anymore is they have two escape routes. So they'll come up. The Myriadonalis has it. The Sanderi has it. The Marshalli has it. The one Darlingi, well, both Darlingis actually have it. The only one that do not are the Brachycephalus. They just have, they have one has an opening here and then just on the other side, but you could see the butt on one side and the spider on the other side. So then the other one's dug all the way down, but it's only one entrance. What I found, what they do is they'll grab their prey and then they run in their other entrance. Then they'll come back through and then they come out and they'll run in their other entrance. The Sanderi was doing that the other day, like 3 or 4 times. It was just going in this big circle before. I finally got a chance to take a picture of it. It was a streak picture, so it was actually running. It didn't turn out the best, but it is still kind of cool. That's one I wanted to see. Since it molted, I wanted to see out and just get a visual of the whole spider, and I just can't do it. It just won't let me do it. I itch. I don't know. It's a medication. My medication makes me itch on my chin or my ear or my nose. I itch all the time. I probably should start taking allergy pills every day, but No, I have not. Arachnid King, I have not. I can't believe I haven't. But I mean, I've heard some rumors that a couple people had a tarantula that was a blondie or a sturmy that was a little bit redder, and they were like, "Oh, it's this rare red form," and it's really not. So I would imagine it's sometimes, if you take a blondie and you move it to where oxygen levels are really good, they probably would get a little bit bigger than what they are. But I've not heard of anything from Suriname that's different than what you find in Brazil. No, Tracy, not much. I mean, we were just talking about different things, substrate and um, sand and stuff from outside and things like that. My female Neoholta Insei died, but she was, I think, like I said before, I think she was right around 7 years old, so it was probably right around her time. I knew the last molt is she's been completely different, a lot more. She was really dull after her last molt. She got really, really bright with her colors like for 2 weeks, and then she really, really dulled back down again. And that's one of those. It's an indicator that something's not right. And I kind of had a feeling a couple of weeks ago, but she did feed last week, and then I found her this morning. She was all curled under. So I do have scorpions. Not many, but I do have scorpions. Who are you? Whoever you are, you're going away. What scorpions do I have? So I have a Centrudes Vittatus, a little one, little tiny one. We have the flat, we got the flat rock scorpion. I can't remember. I should write that scientific name down, but I have not done it. I have the Opisthothalamus wahlbergi, which is the tri-colored burrowing scorpion. It's an African species that likes to dig. And then we have the Hottentotta, and the Hadruus arizonensis, the desert hairy scorpion. So was that five? One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, five of them. I enjoy. I like them, but I don't have. I have not much success watching them feed. So it just a couple of them burrow and it just throw something in there and let them eat. As they get bigger, I'm sure that'll change. Like the flat rock scorpion's only about this big right now. And same thing with the Centrudes vittatus or vittata. There, that one's pretty small too. Yeah, Sophie was in for a little while. She asked me some very difficult questions, but yeah, I took care of that. Not only, let's see, did I block, but I absolutely, we can only put him in a timeout, but I did report him. I don't tolerate stuff like that. And I mean, I've had I've had very, very good live streams. I've not had people come in and troll at all. I mean, there was one a little bit earlier, but he went away. But if you ignore them, sometimes they just go away. And then this one here, I don't understand that. It's not cool when you're talking about children like that. I've heard Benjamin's name before, but I don't know who he is. I don't know if I've ever actually talked to him or associated with him at all. Tell Faith I said hi and she needs to start holding tarantulas, or at least looking at them, not being so scared of them. There's one that Andy has that I'd like to get. Is it the Fran? Are you still in here, Andy? I think it's the Franz I can't remember Franz where Werney, something like that. I think that's Hottentotta too. That's one that I really really like. That one I like when he has them on camera because they look really cool. And I'd like to go back and get the oh, what are they? The I'm not going to remember what they are. I had two the different colored, the chocolate morph and the orange morph, and then there was one that's a gigas. What are they? I can't think of these scorpions' genus name. It's gonna drive me crazy. It'll come to me later on. Those are ones I'd like to have. If I was buying, if I was going to go looking for scorpion, that would be the ones that I would get. That one I was talking about, the Andy Hazen and those. What are they called? I keep on saying Hysterocrates because of the gigas, but it's not. It's something else. I had 4 of these scorpions at one time, 2 chocolates, 2 orange, and by the time that I got them through some of their molts, I only ended up with 1 orange one left that lived about a year, and then that one, I don't think I did those ones right at all. I think I screwed up husbandry-wise on those. Yeah, the H. aerosinensis, that's the one that I have in strictly the excavator clay. The only problem I have with the aerosinensis is you should give them room. I mean, they're a decent sized scorpion, but they're a scorpion that you could put in a 10-gallon aquarium and they will utilize all of that space. They will dig huge burrows and they wander quite a bit. So it is a scorpion. I gave my bigger one to Peyton. I don't think she had one. So, when I got the 4 of them in, 2 of them went out right away to somebody that just paid for shipping, and I gave them to them. And then I kept the small one and the big one, and I gave the bigger one to Peyton, and then kept the smaller one. This one, I've caught this one I can see eating, but I think this one actually needs a bump up in enclosure size. It doesn't take long, Rach. Once they turn dark, it'd be surprised. Like one day they're like a tan, next day they're like a brown, and next day they're black. It all happens pretty quick. Yeah, I think the desert scorpions wander a lot. My Hottentotta does not wander very much at all, and my flat rock scorpion doesn't move. That one's always in the same place. It's underneath, flat pieces of bark from a tree that I have here because I didn't really have any small flat rocks, and it's still tiny. So I use those as it's rocks. Every time that I go in there to check it, it's always in the same place. It does not move. It'll move when I disturb it, but I've never seen it wandering around. But the H. aerosinensis does do a lot of wandering. The Gabonensis, the Opisthothalamus gabonensis, doesn't really do a lot of wandering because it's got a network of tunnels, so it will go through the tunnels through the course of the evening, but I don't see it out very often. Where the aerosinensis I see out, and the Civitatis I'll see out at night, and the Hottentotta I will see every now and then. And when I see it out, I think, oh, it's going to eat, and then I try to feed it, and it just runs away. So, yeah, they're not hard. The Asian forest scorpions, though, they do need some room, and they do need to be damp. I see some people keep them on dry substrate. Now, they're going to live for a while, but they come from a very, very moist, damp area, and I really do believe they need that to survive. Same thing with the emperor scorpions. People think that they're a dry scorpion. They're not. They're from the rainforest in Africa, so they do need a little bit of moisture too. Most of the stuff I have here are they're dry, arid species. Probably only about another 30 minutes, Rach. That's about it. I need to eat, and they're just on their way home now, so they'll be another 3 hours or so. So I may even just go out and get a sub or something. So I want to have time to be able to do that, and then get these coronal bullets. So yeah, at 5:30, which would be what 10:30 your time, so not too much longer. And if people start dwindling out, then I'll even end it a little bit, unless some big topic comes up. But I did miss that response from Faith. What did she say? You know what? She needs to take pictures of them on her phone so she can hold them closer so she gets a little bit more used to them. That's what she should do. I can honestly tell you that I have not seen any spider live or from my friends that have been over 10 inches. Um, I know Tom had one that was just over 10 inches. You know, the molt was over 10 inches, so the spider's probably a little bit more, but I have not seen anything that big yet. Not saying that they can't be, but I have yet to see it. Any of the Asian forest scorpions, I think, can be actually moody. They're not real gentle, but they can be held. It's just a matter of their temperament. Sometimes they can be a pain in the ass. Oh, well, thanks for stopping in, Rach. P. Lugardi. I have one. I have a P. Lugardi. And what's interesting about P. Lugardi is everybody keeps saying that the Ediothalamira are the only one that make trapdoor, and that's a false statement because the P. Lugardi will too. Mine has one. Um, it's not the same kind of structure trapdoor that you would see out of an eye mirror where you could actually lift the flap up and see the burrow down in there, but it has a trapdoor. It's just a kind of different design, but I haven't seen it since I put it in this last enclosure, and that drives me crazy because I don't see them. But I try to provide them with what they should have, and that's why I can't film a lot of my spiders where other channels can, because other channels will just put them in something that they're visible so that they can film them. And again, it depends on what kind of channel you want to have, and if you're more of a informational channel. I don't want to say educational because I don't know that I really educate people, but more informational stuff. You want them to be more natural. If you want to be a showman or a showwoman, or you want to get reactions and you want your spider to be seen all the time, then take your African species or your Asian species and put this much dirt in there. Let them build a little bit of web, and they're going to be pissed off all the time. They're going to constantly be going threat postures because they think that their enclosure is their burrow. When you take the top off it, they have no top anymore. Their burrow's gone because they don't have what they need to dig in. And that's the problem I have with a couple channels, a couple big channels, is the way that they keep their spiders. I kind of, before I just would, just kind of not say anything and just let it be because, you should. And I'm not calling anybody out, but I just think that there's some keepers that have big channels that I think keep their spiders like crap. The bare minimum, only to be seen, very easy to piss off, and I mean, I don't do that. I don't like that. See you later, Shani. Oh, she's got the big expo tomorrow. Yeah, there's more than just that one, that keeps it that way, Christian. There's other ones that, I mean, I'm not saying anybody's name. I just think that flat out keep their spiders like crap, and they keep them the way they do for YouTube only. And there's two different types of people that do YouTube. If you guys want to talk about this, we can talk about this. I don't have a problem with that, because I mean, the YouTube community, they know that I speak my mind. There's two types of people that do YouTube videos. Ones that they want it about them, and ones that actually want it to be about the animals. And I mean, doing this live thing is different because it's not really about me, even though I'm on camera the whole entire time. I'm trying to relay information and answer questions and stuff like that. But if you have a channel and your in front of the camera, 90% of your video, that your channel is not about, you're not a pet tuber. You're not about the spiders or the scorpions or whatever you're keeping. The channel is about you, and it's recognition, and it's you know, being seen and admired. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. You know, I'm not saying it's wrong. Don't get me. I don't want people coming back to me and all pissed off about it. But I don't believe that you're a pet channel if that's what you do. You know, the jokes all the time, the different little clip insertions and stuff that aren't yours. It's just not my style. And you know, here's my pretty new pet, and then you don't see it again for 20 videos. So it's just not me. And there's a handful of channels that have gone from starting out one way and completely changed to another way. And that's what's best for them, and that's what works for them. So, you know, I applaud them for that, and it's just, you know, not me. And there's other people that feel the same way. It's, you know, everybody has an opinion of what people do, and you know, everyone critiques everybody, and you know, people have told me before I should do a handful of reaction videos to pet YouTubers, and I mean, that would be kind of sinking my own ship, but because the ones that I would do that for would probably be bigger channels. But I have one paranormal. I have one that's got dirt curtain kind of a deal, and the other one's got a trapdoor, but not a trapdoor like some of the ones I've actually seen. And actually, they actually like a little bit of moisture, believe it or not. I tend to see that they're more active if I wet their enclosures down a little bit than if I let them dry out for an extended period of time. So Arachnid King's asked me exotic flare. I'm not saying, you know, channel specifically. I think that everybody can kind of put two and two together. All right, Gandalf, have a good one. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of channels that I used to watch that don't watch at all anymore, and there's a lot of channels that I just laugh at because people believe that they think that they know what they're talking about. And the funny thing is that their fans do. Their fans and their subscribers just are, oh, if you want information, go to this channel. And I'm like, I don't get it. You know, I mean, I don't understand what information you're getting from some of these channels, but you know, I'm glad some of these, you know, there's not too many YouTubers in here because I'd get lynched after this. But yeah, I just watched a video from yesterday, as a matter of fact. I just watched a video from a very, very popular YouTuber that did some changes to where spiders lived, and they went from something that was a little bigger to something that was a little bit smaller. I kind of scratched my head, but again, it's each person has their own way of doing things. You know, we may not agree with everything. I may not agree with everything, but it doesn't really make it right or wrong. I have some spiders I think are in smaller enclosures than they probably need to be, but and I have some that are in larger enclosures that probably don't need something that large. But I guess what aggravates me the most is listening to the people recommend these channels for information. That's, you know, they're recommending popularity is what they're recommending. And there's, you know, the funny thing is a lot of people that watch some of these bigger channels don't even have tarantulas. They just enjoy the channels, and there's still some that I enjoy, you know, that I watch. But I want people, you know, I like people that are good examples of the hobby. That I tell you who I like, who I really, really like, enjoy watching is Dean's tarantulas. There is no Dean, you know, it's the spiders, it's the breeding, it's the feeding, you know, and it's good stuff. He doesn't talk a lot, he doesn't do a lot of informational stuff, but he's a no nonsense kind of guy. I enjoy watching his stuff. Predator Prey Online, he's a no nonsense kind of guy too, and he's got a lot of good information, and he gives it to you straight. There's no holds barred with Gar at all. That's what I like. I like people that are true and real, not people that are putting on a facade just to satisfy their subscribers. And you know, I feel that your subscribers will stick with you if they like you, you know, and if they like your information, they like your videos, they're going to stick with you one way or another. But you get a lot of people by being a little bit fake and, you know, doing things that you normally wouldn't do or you didn't do before that you feel you have to do now to keep your subscribers. You'll never get that from me. I will never, ever, I will leave YouTube before I did any of that stuff. You know, the little games, the little clips, the little fun stuff, the crazy pictures. It's just not me. I'd rather you see my stuff. You know, I'd rather you see my collection than, you know, in a 15-minute video. I'd rather you see 14 and a half minutes of my spiders and a 30-second clip of me than 30-second clip of a spider that I just got and then 14 and a half minutes of crap. You know, that's me, again. And I'm being critiquing here, and some people, if they listen to this, are probably going to think that I'm talking about them, but I'm sure you did, Xenon. I don't think that it's not hard to kind of figure out. I mean, I like the person a lot, and I have from the beginning that, you know, when he started. It's, again, there's a handful of channels that are entertainment, and that's why they have as many subscribers as they do. And YouTube is 95% entertainment, 5% information. So channels that have information, I'll tell you right now, honestly, for 100%, you will never ever hear me say anything different. There is no way that Tom Moran should have lower subscription totals than Exotic Slayer or Dark Den. Never. Shouldn't, never, absolutely never. Tom Moran does tons of research, puts his stuff together. It doesn't, you know, it's not a real quick, you know, my problem was I would shoot a video and throw it up right away. That's not happening anymore. But if you watch Tom's stuff, you know that he's done a bunch of research. He's talked to people, and he sets his video up so people can understand what he's doing. Why a guy like that has less than 50,000 subscribers or less than a lot of these other channels is beyond me. Absolutely 100% beyond me. But again, YouTube is that, and that's me, because that's what I would watch. YouTube is entertainment. I've done my entertainment. If I want entertainment, I'm going to go watch Dean. I'm going to watch Andy. I'm going to go watch Greg Rice. I'm going to watch Marilyn Moore. You know, the ones that I enjoy that are fun. I don't know. You know, like I said, I've had a falling out with some people, and this has nothing to do with repercussions or bad feelings. It's just the way that I feel. Oh, absolutely, they will. They will absolutely 100% have more subscribers and hundreds of thousands more, because that's what people want to watch. And I've gone on YouTube and I've watched some crazy things, and I see things that are going on YouTube, and this boggles my mind. And sorry for you women that are out there, but I see so many women on YouTube that do bikini try-ons and, you know, lingerie try-ons that have 2.4 million views, 3 million views, 5 million views, and there's a ton of them that do it. You have a bunch of women that'll just talk about sexual things that pique people's interest, that have tons of views, and they're making money off of it. And what would happen if a guy did that? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make a civil war with women and men, but what if a guy is interesting? You know, if you had a guy trying on, I don't know, Speedos or something, would people really want to watch that, you know? But I was flabbergasted by the amount of views that some of these women are getting, and then you attribute that to some of the pet tubers that are very, very pretty, that wear certain things, I guess. Again, we shouldn't look at it that way. Men should never look at it that way, but we do, because we're men. That's just the way it is. But yeah, I don't know. I got off on a tangent. I don't know why I even got off on that tangent, but yeah, I just believe that there's people that have way more subscribers than they should. Not that they shouldn't have them, but I'm flabbergasted at the amount that they have, and you know, the time that the slow amount of time that they got them, or the quick amount of time that they got them, I should say. And there's channels that believe that they're role models, and that they're, you know, the gifts to the tarantula hobby and invert hobby, that believe it, they're role models for everybody that do stupid stuff, that say stupid stuff that we all know is not true, and they have thousands of subscribers. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just being sore because I only have as many as I do, but I watched John 3800. I watched the Deadly Tarantula Girl when I first started, till I realized how much of the information she has was not right. Dave Scott, and of course Rob C. Those are the ones that I watched in the beginning. Greg Rice was another one, and there's another. If I could ever come across that channel, I will let you guys know what it is. But he was from the United States, but I don't think he was born here. I think he was like Middle Eastern, but he had some really great videos, and a lot of information on species, a lot of great rehousing videos, and showed you actually how to do them, and do them safely. And I don't know, the YouTube's changed. It's different now. It is really about fun, and I'm sure if I did skits and I did comedy and sang songs and whatever it may be, maybe more people would come and watch me. But same thing with Tom. I don't know. I get bitter sometimes about it, and I probably shouldn't, because I shouldn't. I mean, really, I shouldn't. Yeah, you know what? I think there are channels that are keepers that only keep because of their channel. That's what they started in. It was a little niche, and I'll be again. Let's go back to when did I start? 2016. The end of 2016 is when I did the YouTube thing, and I started putting YouTube videos out in 2017. So back then, you only had a handful that were doing it. I mean, there were far and few between. There were more Europeans that were doing it than there were people from here, even the UK. And one, Spider-Man was on, so I watched a lot of his stuff. I really enjoy Alan. He's a down to earth, just everyday normal guy. But in 2017 through 2018, the beginning of it, there was a huge influx of people that started doing YouTube videos. So to compete, you had to do different things. You had to do things out of the ordinary. You had to find ways to get recognized, and some I don't agree with. I think that some channels grew for reasons that weren't really their own doing. It was just other people's doings. There were a handful of channels, and again, you can't prove this, but you kind of have an idea if you really follow the metrics and how things work. There's an app where you could go to, maybe not an app, but a website where you could go to and you could pay money and you could get like 2,000 subscribers, just boom, like that. I could raise my subscribers for $30 or $75 or whatever it may be. But they go away over time, So you increase your subscribers, and that puts you in a different algorithm with YouTube, because the more subscribers you get, the more in tune with the algorithm you are. The problem is that those subscribers don't view your videos, so your views are down. But I've watched a channel that when I started had 15,000 subscribers that right now only has 17,000 subscribers. So that's 2,000 subscribers that person got in the matter of 2.5 years. That's not a lot. When you have that many, you should be growing quite bigger at that point in time. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, women aren't dumb. I would be doing the same thing if I was a woman. Yeah, there. I mean, there are people that just don't care. They just want to go on YouTube, do their stuff, and they enjoy doing it. Yeah, I know that some people don't like when people talk about them. Sometimes I just get frustrated, I guess, and I don't know. Do you watch Mark? I mean, if you watch Mark's tarantulas, he's a built guy. He's a ripped guy. He's always wearing tank tops. Do you watch him for that? I mean, are you going there to watch him for that, or are you watching him for his spiders? I mean, he does an intro every time. He's in front of the camera every time, and he's a great guy. I think the world of him, but he's a he's a more built guy. So if you're built and muscular like that, do you dress down, to show all that? Does that help? I don't know. I mean, I'm not, so I don't know. So I don't know if a man or a men's channel would have the same aspect as what it would be for women. Oh, yep. My wife said they'll be home by 7:30. I asked her when she was coming home, or when they were going to be home, because I didn't know we were coming home, and it was because I wanted to do the live early. And I told her, I sent her a message, and I said, "Hey, when are you going to be back?" And she's like, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, I want to throw a kegger on. I want to make sure that everybody's out before you get back." So she just messaged me and said that they're doing a cool down. I better have my kegger done by 7:30. Oh, Brave Wilderness! I just can't even stomach that guy. He found something that people laugh and scoff at, and I think a lot of that's actually overacting. To be honest with you, I don't think that um, everything that he does is as dramatic as he makes it out to be. But he found a way to make money, and he's doing it. And that you're right, exactly right, because he's entertaining. I think I watched two videos of Coyote Peterson. The one where he got bit by the bullet ant. I think that was the one, and then one some type of wasp. And I just watched. I was like, I can't believe that there are like 3 million people that have watched this video. But again, entertainment sells. That's all there is. I mean, what would you rather do? Would you rather go to a movie theater and watch, whatever movie it may be that is in your interest, or go listen to somebody lecture about um, the way that water vaporizes in the air? I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. You're gonna go watch. You're gonna go to the fun thing because that's what we are human. We want to see the fun stuff. So the informational stuff kind of suffers for it. But then when you want that informational stuff, then you got to go seek it out, and it's a lot harder to seek it out. And what I always enjoy is when those channels that are entertainment channels come to the people that do the information videos and ask for information. That's I always get a kick out of that. It makes my day when that happens. Well, I think some channels do, Robbie. I think you do have to get to a point where you find that fine line. But I don't think that if you're true to what you want to do, I don't think that you do it. I'm not saying that I don't do stuff for my subscribers, because I do. I mean, I started doing these lives because people wanted me to do them. But my videos that I do, unless it's a subscriber requested video, I don't go and say to myself, "Oh, well, I got to do this because the viewers are going to love it." I got to go to an expo and film the expo, even though I filmed it like 50 times already, um, and buy a new spider and bring it home, or get some in the mail, or constantly bringing stuff in, because I think you're doing that for views and subscriptions and video ideas, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just not me. So yeah, there was only a handful of them in 2016. I mean, your big ones were Deadly Tarantula Girl, Tarantula, or not Tarantula Dan, but Spider-Man, Rob C, and John 3800, and then Greg Rice was doing videos back then, I believe. I think he was more into them back then than he is right now, but yeah, there wasn't a ton of them. And then Dave Scott started, early or late 2015 into 2016, and then I started in 2017, early 2017, and that was because he kind of coaxed me into it. He's like, "Oh, you got to do it," because I kept asking him questions. I was like, "Dude, I'd like to do them, but I don't know, you know. And of course, the first video I did it in portrait mode, and the second video I did it in portrait mode. And then somebody said, "Hey, you need to flip your camera the other way," and I'm like, "Oh, you know, I didn't even know." So then I start doing. I never talked, and then the one video I did, I talked a little bit, and Marilyn Moore sent me a message. She's like, "I didn't think you were ever going to talk." So when she did that, then I started talking all the time, and then from now you hear me now. I talk all the time, all the time. Um, but I think I tune. I you know I there's a lot of people that don't like my channel because I do talk a lot, and they just don't like that. A lot of people just, again, they want the entertainment. I want to see a spider hitting a roach, and then I want to see the next one, and that's all I want. I don't care where they're from. I don't care what you got to do with them. I don't care how often you got to feed them. I don't care about them molding. I just want to see a spider kill something. That's really it. And some of the bigger channels, that's mostly what you get. Yeah, you know, there are two people. I mean, other than certain family members, of course, there are two people that I think that this world was hurt by when they passed away, and one was Steve Irwin, and the other one was Robin Williams. Those two people were two people that I respected very greatly, and you know, I mean, I was devastated when what happened to Steve, and then what happened to Robin. I was absolutely devastated, and I think the world's a worse place for that, um, because they gave so much. You know, they gave so much to what they did, and to everything and everybody. Um, and that's how he got big. I mean, I watched some documentaries on when he first started doing the videos, or the TV show. Was huge, and you know how he started and how bad of an actor he really was, and how good he actually got to be in the end was really interesting. But I mean, I adored Robin Williams, and I think a lot of what he went through. I don't want to say that what I go through is what he goes through, because it's kind of different, but he used comedy as an escape. You know, he made people laugh because he felt like crap, and that was his way of making people think that he felt good. So I get into that tendency sometimes where I try to make people laugh, or I be funny because I'm not feeling myself, or I don't feel right, or something's agitating me that day. And you know, over the last couple of days, that's been pretty prevalent. But um, yeah, so those two people, I think we really were really worse for when they left this earth. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure he works out. I mean, he's a good guy. Mark's a good guy. I've had some conversations with him. I have no problem with Mark at all. Absolutely, 100%. So don't get me wrong there. Um, so he flaunts. I mean, he flaunts what he has, just like some women flaunt what they have, and it's for camera. I mean, he could wear a complete shirt, or but again, people should be able to wear what they want to wear, and we shouldn't judge them for that, whether it's a male or a female. That's a topic that I want to do in one of my podcasts. That's the big one that I was talking about the other day, was the the aspect of how women are treated versus how men are treated in the hobby, on YouTube, and some other things, just basically in the tarantula hobby. And I talked to, I don't know, I think it was right around a dozen women so far that I've gotten information from, that things that have happened to them over the course of years. Some of them weren't even tarantula related. It was just stuff that they went through, as far as you know not being treated the same because they were women. But I have a daughter. I have a 17-year-old daughter, soon to be 18-year-old daughter. So stuff like that I worry about a little bit more, and I feel that women are treated much worse than they should be. Well, I mean, they shouldn't be treated bad at all, don't get me wrong, but some of the things that continually happen to women anymore is just absolutely ridiculous. But there are a lot of women that bring that on too, that it's that they personify what other women are trying to fight. So it's almost like it's hard to grasp. But yeah, I mean, I agree. If you have it, why not? That's why I've got the beard going on, because I think it's kind of sexy. My wife hates it because she said it makes me look old, but Mark does a phenomenal job of filming. I told him he should be doing documentaries. When he did that first video on arachnophobia, that was the first thing I said to him. I said, this is one of the best videos that I've ever watched on YouTube, ever. his talking, how he set up the film, the way that uh, his voice went perfectly with the clip, and the information that he did was just absolutely phenomenal. I do enjoy watching his stuff for that. There's some things that I don't like that he does, but some videos that he's done I don't like, but some of his theatrical stuff is absolutely awesome. Yeah, Andy, I mean, I am. I didn't send stuff to anybody. I didn't have those big, huge shout outs. I didn't have, a big, huge event to help boost my thing. Everything that I've gotten has been blood, sweat, and tears. It's scraping for 2 or 3 subscribers a day when, some of these other channels were doing that, 2 or 3 subscribers a day, and then all of a sudden they're getting 50, 60, 80 a day, only because of something that they did. Not really something, outside of the actual YouTube stuff. But again, I really can't blame people for doing what they do to get popular and to make money. If I mean, I really honestly can't do it. I mean, I'm a union guy. I work, I've been in union all my life, so I know what you have to fight for to get what you have, and you know, um, I never ever scoff at baseball players that get these big huge contracts. Do I think they need that much money? No, I don't. But when they're being sold by an owner to make that owner money, then I think that they should get the money that they deserve. And as much as you can get, you get. That's the way I feel. Whether it's baseball, football, or basketball, I'm a little bit different because I just think they're all spoiled brats. But hockey, golf, whatever it may be, get the money that you can. And if you got to do something out of the ordinary, like some of these channels have done to get the subscribers, then hey, you know what? You do it. If you could go to sleep at night, then that's okay. But I just don't think that I could do that. Oh, I know, Christian. I absolutely 100%. I know that. Yeah, I can't take Brave Wilderness at all. I'll watch on YouTube. I'll watch basically what I watch are some of the people I enjoy watching. Um, there's videos I need to catch up on. Gar's put out a whole bunch of stuff over the course of the last couple weeks. It's like he's doing 2 or 3 videos a day. He's recovering from his back thing, so I think he's kind of bored. But I think I'm caught up with the indie stuff, but I need to start watching some of Sophie's stuff. I just watched her last video. I didn't watch the zoo one yet, so kind of anxious to see that. um, Ray and I have been talking from Jeepers Creepers a lot, so I'd like to watch some because he's been doing videos again. So I'd like to watch some of his stuff. But when Dean pops a video on, I watch it. When Shanti puts a video on, I generally watch it. It may take me a little while to watch it, but I generally watch it. Um, I just watched Vic's announcement video, and there's just some people that I really really enjoyed talking to and watching. That right now I can't enjoy talking to or enjoy watching at all. Period. And some of it's personal, a lot of it's me, the way that I feel, but um, again, people are people. You can't help the way you feel. That's Ryan, that's my biggest problem with the entertainment channel is they're there for a reason. They are there to entertain. When they start passing on information that is not correct, there are thousands upon thousands of people that watching that aren't believing them because, whoever it may be, whoever it is that they believe walks on water, said this, so it's got to be true. And then when you come to a channel that is more informational, it's more educational, it's more scientific, that's saying that stuff, they're like, oh no, you're wrong because this person said that. This whole Brachypelma homore and Brachypelma smithi thing, you have 3 or 4 channels that still continually say Brachypelma homori were once Brachypelma smithi, which is not right. It's not right at all. But they say it, and people believe it. I say it, and people don't believe me, and it agitates me because I talked to the person that did the paper a little bit. I've seen the stuff that Andrew Smith has put on some of the groups lately about this topic. I know what's gone on, but because I don't have 350 or 450 or 500,000 subscribers, people don't believe me, and that's where I get agitated. That's why I enjoy the groups. You know, my group. I enjoy my tarantula community group because people there respect me and they will listen to me more than they will listen to some of these other people, and that just goes with time and effort, and people listening to your stuff or they see me on the group all the time. They don't come and watch me on YouTube all the time because I'm not super entertaining, and some of the other channels are. So I want to have a good time, eat some popcorn, and watch some crazy tarantulas eat, or some crazy tarantulas threat posture, then I'm going to go to these other channels. But when I start watching them and then I get information and I believe it, and then you go on these groups, these crazy groups, you hear someone say, oh, well, this person said this, and this is true, and then you actually physically give them the correct information, a link to the correct information, and they still don't want to believe you because that person said something different. That's where I have problems. And those people have a huge influence over people, and they could be doing so much more if they just worked with people that actually could help them relay information. It's almost like they need a management team so that when they do a video, they're not saying wrong things. Do the video, edit the video, have somebody watch it, a producer, and hey, I'm going to ask this guy, did everything that he say or she say here, is that correct? No, this is completely wrong. Well, we need to edit that out or change it. But I mean, I've heard people say that avics don't need a lot of ventilation. They're perfectly fine with 2 or 3 holes in the top of their enclosure. I mean, because this person has a ton of subscribers, people believe them. And then people kill their avics and they can't understand why. I used to watch, that's all I used to do, Xena, is watch. I'd come home from work, I'd put on YouTube, I'd watch videos, I'd do a little bit of filming, I'd upload something before I went to sleep, I'd go to work the next day, I'd come home and watch YouTube again. That's all I did. Now what I do is about 3% of my time I actually will watch YouTube because I'm so frustrated with some people. I want to watch new channels that are coming up, and again, I don't want to be that person that people call me an elitist. I don't want that. I don't want people to believe that's what I am. And what I want is to be able to influence people to help them relay the right information here on YouTube, not just stuff that they heard or regurgitated information that Google has passed on to them, because God forbid that they would ask somebody that's been keeping these spiders for 10 or 15 or 20 years, because Google has to be right because it's Google, right? Well, Google is wrong most of the time, especially in stuff like this, especially with pet stuff. But yeah, podcast is called Eerie Arachnids Says. Yeah, Andy, I'm we're the same kind of person. That's what I say. We're the same kind of person. So you could see where our progression's been the same. I think you're growing a little bit quicker, but I think the channels that started last year versus the year before grew quicker than I mean, I hit a wall, and I think that's because, again, the stuff that I was putting out and the lack of editing, the amount of talking I was doing turned a lot of people off. But you're paralleling the same kind of peak, I guess, that I did, and I think you're going to get to where, in the amount of time that you hit 2,000 will be less than what I did to get 2,000. But it's different. I mean, your videos, I honestly will tell you 100%, if I'm going to watch a feeding video, if I want to go see somebody that's got the best feeding videos, I'm going to Andy's channel, 100%. There's nobody else I would go to. I don't think there's anybody that can compare to him as far as feeding videos are concerned. He always has good clips, always has great takedowns, not a lot of stuff in between. It's just no nonsense stuff. Dean is another one. Dean's got just good stuff, good clips, good editing, good filming, good lighting. Those are the two that I'd like to go see. Greg Rice was the one that I always used to go see. His stuff was always good. He would always have a feeding video. He would always have the name of the spider and whatever name he gave them up on the screen. and it was just like feed, boom, done, on to the next one. That's, that's when I watch feeding videos, that's what I want to see. Um, my problem is that I didn't edit, so I did a lot of talking, and that just turned a lot of people off. Yeah, see you later, Christian. Thanks for stopping in. I'll see you later, Andy. No, everything's going good, Phil. I just when I have time like this, I don't mind staying on and talking to people. I actually am more social because of stuff like this. I can actually just, there was a ton of people on earlier asking me a bunch of questions, and I enjoy just answering questions and helping people out. So, um, yeah, John had some misinformation on a handful of things, but again, it was right information when he started it. So, you're watching some of his information now for the first time, you'll be like, oh my goodness. And he's another one had a lot of tarantulas and didn't have a lot of space, so he had them in things that were small. And again, he had a lot of things in mainstays, which is perfectly fine. And that works for him. And the tarantulas don't need a ton of room. People keep saying they need a ton of room. They really don't need a ton of room. But I liked watching his, the videos he did with the whiteboard and all the information, the way that he, explained how to say the names, even though some of them he said wrong. Again, Latin's a dead language, so I've used a lot of the way that he's pronounced things, and then I say them, and someone will say, oh no, that, this, the CH should be pronounced like this, or, the S should be pronounced like this, or whatever. But that's where I learned a lot of the scientific names. That's, honestly, I have to attribute him, Fear Not Tarantulas, for going on their page on shopping all the time, just seeing what was there, and then attributing that and going back to Google searches just to search that spider. That's where I learned scientific names from. I'm trying to understand what you meant there, Philip. You ask in groups and they make fun of people that say they have 15, 20 years experience. Explain that to me, what you mean there, and then I'll try to answer that. Oh, thanks, Paranormal. I actually, my podcasts are doing pretty well. I was kind of shocked at where we're at, the amount of listens. I mean, this last one, it's been the best one as far as growth, as quick as it has. But I went through a really slow time, and it's funny because I watch a lot of channels that just blew up at that same time, and I just kind of leveled off. And yeah, it got hard again. There were times, the beginning of summer there, when we had our little disagreement through the end of summer, and then, in fall when the other stuff happened. I think you know what I mean. Into December, I had considered walking away many times. I was like, I really don't need this. I don't need to do YouTube videos. I could do my information on the group and through Instagram and on my page. I could absolutely 100% do that. I could walk away right now and just do podcasts and be perfectly fine too. But I would let a lot of people down. That's why I keep doing it. Yeah, I mean, Latin's a dead language, so it's just a way that we interpret it, and we Englishize, we Americanize, I guess you should say, the Latin. So the way that we believe it should be said, because the words that we pronounce that way, um, the way we say them, and the way that people in the UK say them. I mean, I always said orphanaceous, and Andy says orphanaceous, and it's actually orphanaceous. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I've said wrong, but again, the way I learned them was through John, and listening to some pronunciations online, and Rob C too. I learned a lot that way. But yeah, yeah, it's hard saying the names, and that's what kind of shies people away from them, is the pronunciation of them. Well, spelling kind of sucks too. Oh, you've seen people in groups making fun of people saying I have 15, 20 years experience, as if it means nothing. Well, that happens a lot. And that's just the day and age. Again, there's people that will respect their elders, or people that are, been in the hobby longer. But again, I know people that have been keeping for 15, 20 years that don't know crap. They've just, I mean, I don't want to say don't mean crap, and that's probably not the right way to say it, but they don't have the knowledge that a lot of people that would be keeping that long, because they were just keepers. They just wanted to have fun. I bred a couple spiders, easy ones, Brachypelma albicolosum, Andrew chromatus. It just kind of fell in my lap, but I just been having fun. I had 20, 50 tarantulas over the course of 15 years, and for 14 of those years, I only had one. That happens a lot. I mean, it happened with me. I mean, for 10 years, I only had one. The rest of the time, I've, amassed what I have now. It's just, some people will go over and above researching and understanding and wanting to gather more information. That's me, where, you're more having fun, and, the hobby is fun for you, and the scientific stuff isn't as important. So there are many people that way, and that's not wrong. But yeah, you're right. There are a lot of people that will not listen to people that have a lot of experience. I heard it just the other day, and believe it or not, somebody was arguing with Andrew Smith, and it was funny because the person that was arguing with them probably only had a couple spiders and only had been in the hobby for a very, very limited amount of time. But they read a lot of Google crap and they believe it. And when you have somebody that has worked in the field as long as that guy has, you don't know who he is. Excuse me, got the hiccups here. You don't know who If you don't know who he is and you don't believe his information, then you start arguing with him. And I just sit back and I just kind of giggle. I'm like, my God, if you only knew. People argue with Stuart Longhorn a lot, or when he puts stuff on, they'll want to try to counter what he says, and you're talking to a person that actually helped describe some of the spiders that you're arguing about. It's kind of funny. Yeah, you're right, Phil. I mean, if keeping that long, who do you ask for advice? But there's people don't really want to hear advice. They want to believe that they're right, for however long they've kept. Not so much arguing with them, I guess. I shouldn't really say argue with them, but disagreeing with them. And then, when he writes this little paragraph of stuff, and then the person that he's trying to give information to comes down and says, no, that's not how it is, and you just kind of giggle. And it was on the Brachypelma smithian Hamori thing. I think it was the one that he explained where, the Rio Balsas River was the divider of the two Hamoris in the north of was that Acapulco, or not Veracruz? I think it's Acapulco, right? So the Hamori were on the north side, Smithy was on the south, and they, when Anitha used to be a separate species, but then when they did the DNA testing, they realized that Anitha and Smitha were the same thing. But then everyone's thinking, oh well, we did this paper, and now, because we have this Hamori now, and everything that we have in the hobby is going to be Hamori, and so my Smithy was a Hamori, when actually your Smithy may have still been a Smithy, and people just don't get that, and it's hard for people to understand. But when you're arguing with somebody that's done research in the field and just did a huge documentary about Mexican spiders, I don't get it. Yeah, a lot of people are that way, Phil. I mean, the science stuff doesn't mean anything. They just want to know how to keep them, and that's it. The best way they can keep them, to keep them alive and be happy with them. And for YouTubers that like that, you do a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. I know you don't like feeding videos and stuff like that, because there's so many of them on there, and it's not interesting to you. So, your channel changes things, and the stuff that you do is different than other people do. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that just specifically can't stand the science. They don't want to have anything to do with it. Because science is a subject that is probably, I would say, math and science and English are probably the three most hated. Well, maybe history's in there too, as far as courses are concerned in American teaching. And a lot of people, none of my kids like science. They absolutely, and I have two kids that couldn't stand science at all growing up, that are both going to, well, one's going to be in the fall, but are both going to be going to college for criminal justice, and one of them wants to be a crime scene investigator. So crime scene investigator needs a whole lot of science. So I was like, dude, well, why didn't you want to do science before? Now all of a sudden you want to do it. You know, he's like, well, I wished I would have been more intrigued with science before, but yeah, and you know that's something that I always noticed, Phil, is that when you don't know something, you don't tell them that you do. You'll say, go check out this person or ask this person. A lot of people won't do that. They will give information that they think is right and it's not right, and then they get people on these groups who are like, oh, go check out blah blah blah, and you know this person's video are great and they have all this information, but then that blah 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 person comes to somebody like Tom Moran or myself or Gar or somebody like that and say, hey, you know, is this right? You know, can you answer this question for me? And then they go on their channel and they answer that question, but they don't say that this person is the one that told them that. That drives me crazy. If you have to go to somebody to get information and then you're going to give it out on YouTube, then you should credit the person that you got that information from. That's the way I feel. I would do it 100% all the time. So some of these channels, it's like they're afraid to let their subscribers know that they had to go somewhere else to get information. I think that's what it may be. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to theorize again. But, yay, JP. I'm only going to be on for a little bit longer. Not too much. We're down to 8 people, and I'm going to be getting dinner here quick, and we got about 7 minutes before the kid comes to get these cornhole boards. So D&D, I never played it, and maybe I was just too old. I think that stuff kind of happened when I was a little bit older. Dungeons and Dragons, all those kind of card games and Magic, what is that, Magic the Gathering, stuff like that. It was all when I was older. Yeah, and that, I mean, honestly, JP, that's the way it should be, to be honest with you. If you don't know, don't answer the question. Don't give bad information. Don't give information that you don't know is right, you know? I mean, there's a young YouTuber that did a video a couple months ago, and I was at work, I was bored, it popped up, I was like, oh, I'll watch it, and there's a handful of things that person said wrong. So I did not want that person to get hammered on YouTube, so I sent him a message, or her, I can't say him or her, just that person. I sent that person a message, and I said, here, this is the stuff that you said that was wrong. I don't want you to get ridiculed and hammered all over YouTube by people that are gonna troll you. So they edited their video and took some of that stuff out and then changed something. You know, I that's what I like to do, and if I could help anybody do that, I don't want people to get embarrassed on YouTube by saying things that are wrong. But there's people that tried to help that are unwilling to listen, so I just stopped helping. Yeah, but, I mean, we all learn from somebody, right? I mean, I learned from Tom Patterson, and you know, I learned some stuff from Dave Scott. I learned a lot of stuff from Lee Beck, and I mean, I've learned stuff from Guy Tansley and Andrew Smith, and then Stuart Longhorn. You know, I use whoever I can. I mean, I don't know everything, so I still go to people to get questions answered. But I will never ever say that I know the information, or I had the information that I don't. If you come to me with a piece of theory question, I'm not going to answer it for you. I mean, unless it's, you know, my Subfusca, the one that I have, I could tell you the care for that one. But the other ones, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I will go to somebody that keeps them a lot or that specializes them. I'll get the information, come back to you and said, Amy said this, or, you know, Quentin said this. They've been keeping this specific species for 5 years, and, you know, it's all they keep is Poecilotherium, Avicularia, Salmopaeus, and Tapniquina. So, you know, I would go to them with information on their care, before I gave you information that might be right, because I can kind of remember how things are being done. So yeah, I haven't gone on anybody's live streams in a while. What was the last one I checked out? Sidex. I popped into his. Oh, it was a couple weeks back, but I never see him. And then of course, the UK people who do the live streams. They're doing them before I'm getting out of work, so you can't even pop into them. That's why I did this one so early. 2 hours 51 minutes. But yeah, so we're probably gonna wrap up here. I'll give you guys like 2 or 3 more minutes if there's any other question that you want to ask or something real quick. And I do appreciate everybody that's come in and joined in the conversation. I was actually excited. We had 19 people on at one time, I think was the high. But yeah, I definitely need to start doing some videos. I haven't filmed a video in forever. I mean, I have some clips, but yeah, if you guys find out any good live streams later, let me know. I wouldn't mind popping into one too. I got 2 spiders that need to be rehoused, but we'll probably do those tomorrow. And then tomorrow's gonna be feeding days for the little guys. So I'm gonna kill it. Well, let's see. Yeah, Zena's going, so I'm gonna kill it here. And oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks for joining in. Yeah, there's been a couple that I've seen that have had 60 people in their streams. I was like, holy crap! I mean, again, some of the bigger channels, if they do a live stream, they're gonna get a bunch of people in there. But some of them that have done the live streams have limited to like 30 minutes, and I can imagine it gets kind of hard to try and answer all these questions going on. Oh, Black Wolf's. I haven't watched any of her videos yet. I have to subscribe to her channel. I told her I would, but I haven't done it yet. Maybe I'll do that when I get done here, and then the other day. Yeah, you just never know, I mean, they feel you can get in and where they come from. But is she just strictly tarantulas, or she does other stuff too, doesn't she? And she's new to the YouTube community, so I don't really know. It's the channel names, and I can't attribute them to people's names because I don't know who's who. Like S. Mormon, I know her first name, but it's not coming to me because I see her on the group. But I told myself, oh, I'll never forget that again, and guess what? I forgot it. I'm just too old to remember. I don't have the capacity to remember everything anymore, especially names. So, all right, well, we're going to head out, and we'll see everybody soon. And hopefully you'll come and watch the next video, and we'll do another live soon, and we'll do a podcast here. Probably do a podcast tomorrow. Sharon, that's it. I knew it. I'll say I won't forget that, but I'll probably will. So don't be offended. So yeah, I'll probably do a podcast tomorrow, and that'll be up tomorrow, and that's going to be, it's actually going to be a fun one, going to be a little bit more comedic, and that's going to be what to expect the first year of keeping. So yeah, I think that'll be kind of fun. So we'll see you guys all later, and have a great rest of your weekend.